My bad, my bad, my bad. What's this going on? What? Wow, come on. What the fuck is happening here? What the where is. Okay, let me go to my channel. Let me go to my channel, man. Okay, give me a second, y'all, cause yeah, give me a second. I've been trying to get this straight for a little bit. Oh, long live the patriot. What's up, man? How you doing? Give me 1 second. I'm trying to get everything situated here. Trying to get everything situated here. I did something kind of not smooth, and that's what I did was instead of going through Streamlabs, I did the wrong thing, and I did it on YouTube, and I thought I could connect the Streamlabs if it was already set, and I didn't do it right. So I apologize for all of that. You know what I'm saying? So sorry about that. Hey, Kelly Jane, salute. Haven't seen you around Neon's live stream lately. Nah, man. Nah, I'm good. That's all I got to say about that, man. I don't, I don't, I don't deal in debauchery, man. I'm good. Good, good, good. Been okay. Been okay. She was stuck in London for a minute. Yeah, we kind of keep our head above water. Yeah. Salute to Sister Callie Jane. I'm gonna start this stream right now. I'm gonna start the stream ASAP. Yeah. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let me play this music while y'all are entering. What's up, everybody? What's good? What's good? Welcome to the show. Sorry I had some technical difficulties earlier. Um, I made a mistake. This is something that you should never, ever, ever do, and that is I was using Streamlabs OBS. It's on the Mac. They just did it, so they probably got some bugs to work out. So I scheduled everything on YouTube so I can put my tags in and everything, and then I wanted to use Streamlabs as a remote for me going live. And what happened was everything was set up, everything was looking good, but then nada. And it kept saying it didn't connect, and I guess you got to do it through Streamlabs, um, OBS. I guess that's what you have to do. I'm not too sure about it, so I'm just getting the bugs worked out and stuff like that. So sorry about that. I'm trying to get all of this stuff worked out. Just bear with me, y'all. I'm trying to make it, look as streamlined as possible and stuff like that. But anyway, right? But anyway, today we're going to be talking about some things. I'm going to give a shout out. Long, long live the Patriot Rev. Thanks for coming by, Callie Jane. Always a pleasure. Salute to you. Zero. The Infinite is in the building. Classic Ruby. How are you doing today, Classic Ruby? Oni, Oni, how you doing? How you doing? Um, and everything else. This will be open panel in my Discord server, the 1/3 show. Um, Today we're going to be talking about something that that has piqued my interest a little bit in the past coming weeks, and that is the Takashi 69 incident. And this been going on. I think he did 2 years or something like that. But when I mean times have changed relatively in a mix of how people perceive things. Things ain't how we knew what it was when we grew up. Far as the opening thumbnail here, um, the opening thumbnail right here, and that's you know how things have changed. This is 1969. This is today. This is um, how we perceive things. When I grew up, when a lot of us grew up, there was a certain thing that happened. What's going on, Don Teasy? There was a certain thing that happened, and it was a certain thing that actually went down um, with you in society and how you interact. I remember before, when you would say something, somebody did something to you, your parents were like, "Stop tattletaling so much." Um, and you would say everything, but then there's certain things that didn't need to be said, and you got to tell the truth, and you were mixed up as a kid, but through society you understood one thing that was pertinent. There was You cannot make a decision without there being consequences, right or wrong. What's going on, Supreme Elder, DJ Music? And the problem in this day and age, and what I've seen in this PC culture, is that we they want to take the good things from people following certain things, but they don't understand what goes into it. So I want to go into this, dive deep, and I'm actually use the 48 Laws of Power as a source material because I think a lot of us can understand that in this day and age, things are not progressing; they're actually regressing. We're just in a society where we call it civil, but at the end of the day, it's really not. It's dog eat dog. Instead of we going out with with spears and shields, we're using law. We're using the court of public opinion to its highest. We're doing a lot of things um, that we would call being civil, but in actuality, it's actually more savage than coming at each other with weapons, right? Because you can see when your opponent has a weapon, right? Now, the weapon is uh, the bureaucracy, the laws, the implementation of those laws, and the lobbying of such. where how can you have someone follow a law when he's paying the officials to keep um, that they don't have to enforce the law only when they need be, and we call this, call this political or racial bias or sexism or however way you want to speak about it. But I'm just going to just focus on this right here in my opening salvo and in my opening rant. Okay, so I'm going to go down here and we're going to pull this up with Mr. Takashi. Okay, and we're going to play this for Mr. Takashi. Let me know if y'all can see this in the chat. Can I get a one? Can I get a one in the chat if y'all can see this on screen? Because I'm not looking at the YouTube. I'm actually looking at the. I'm actually sitting here looking in the OBS editor. So if y'all can get a one, let me know. Can I get a one in the chat? Okay. So if y'all can see this clearly, let me know. And yeah. All right. All right. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna play this.
You know why people so mad? Cause they thought it was over for me. They counted me out. Oh, you ratted, it's over for you. Y'all could never cooperate with the government and come back. Y'all could never do that. I'm a living legend at the age of 24 years old. You hear me?
Now I'm explaining something to y'all, right? If y'all look into the corner up here, he's on Instagram. This is his IG. He has 1.6 million views, right? So just break it down. What happened was he turned federal, not state's witness, but federal witness. When his whole gang was together, they got busted for a whole murder of charges, ridiculous charges, right? Um, and he was the star witness because he was the most famous and he was affiliated with them. That doesn't mean he gave most of the evidence because actually the driver gave a lot of the evidence before they even came into Takashi. They was actually investigating these guys for 5 years. The driver gave them 3 years worth of stuff, right? So he was actually undercover working for the feds um, on this, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to play this so you hear it. We're gonna interject.
Look at these 1.6 million. Shout out to Tory, shout out to Drake, shout out to Bad Bunny. Y'all niggas can never stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Look at this 1.6 million. 1.6 million. We can't beat. Me and y'all not the same. King of wait, why I keep hearing King of New York, King of New York? Y'all not the kings of New York. Look at the numbers. Oh, well, he winning right now, yo. Yo, how y'all let that kid rap, right? How y'all let him rap and come home to beat, still get more numbers than us, break all the records? Why y'all can't stand it or something? Y'all can't stand it. Y'all can't.
All right, so I'm going to say this, right? Now, when I was growing up, there's no way that a guy that snitched out his team, I'm from the streets, there's no way for a guy that snitched out his team could literally show his face if they even perceived you was a rat. If when I grew up, if you got locked up by the police and they let you go, you would beg for them to take you downtown and arraign you with everybody else. The police would purposely to isolate you, would let you out and take everybody downtown to make it look like you was a snitch. And that pressure alone of you can't walk around your own neighborhood and feel safe. Even your family members, if they knew you was a snitch, they didn't want nothing to do with you, right? So why doesn't this work nowadays? Well, I'm gonna tell you why it doesn't work nowadays. Because the whole reason it doesn't work nowadays is because yes, it was the fear of being called a snitch, but the honor of going down on the sword for your team not only took care of you and your family, not only if you went to prison, you didn't have to worry about your commissary. You didn't have to worry about having a TV, having a good job when you was in prison. Just sit back doing your time and keeping you straight, because it went both ways. You didn't just not just go and not snitch and then that was the end of it. There was a reward. Your family was taken care of, right? It was an honor code. The honor code has left the streets years before this. He is just a prime example of how the honor code doesn't go both ways. So while he's talking about this, I'm going to bring up what I like to show is this right here, right? I'm going to show this. And what I mean I'm going to show this is, if you guys can see this, this is the 48 laws of power, right? And the 48 laws of power states this as such. Law number 6. How did Takashi 69 become a guy that can go snitch on someone, come back, have 1.6 million views, and he's on house arrest and he's making money in this crisis? He's been home for a minute, but he waited till everybody was home in this crisis. I'm gonna explain to you why. Court attention at all costs. This is law number 6. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd, then or buried in oblivion. Stand out, be conspicuous at all costs. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. Hmm, hmm, wow, wow, hmm. That's he doesn't he sure enough doesn't look bland and he looks real colorful. But I'm gonna let him continue to digress and talk for a second.
You live your whole life, right? You live your whole life trying to be a real nigga. And this is me. This is real Daniel shit. Fuck 6ix9ine, right? This is some Daniel Hernandez shit. You live your whole life trying to be a real nigga, trying to be a stand-up tall, loyal guy. To try to shit on a kid like me, to be like, yo, fuck that, he's a rat, he's a rat, he's a rat, he's a rat. To be like, yo, he ratted. To then a rat like me to come home and still do more numbers than you, I would be mad too. I would be mad too. If a rat came home and did more numbers than me, I would be mad too. I would. I promise you I would be mad. If a rat came home to, like, the way I came home and did more numbers than me, I would be mad. You have every reason to be mad. Every reason. Because no matter how much dirt y'all throw on my name, no matter, and I've seen everything. Everybody want to be quiet now. For 2 years, y'all made fun of me. Y'all done made memes of me. Y'all done threw my name in the dirt. Yo, rat, bitch, fucking. Y'all didn't go through what I went through, and I still came home, and I'm a legend at the age of 24 years old because I came home and a rat is doing more numbers than you. I would be mad too. I would. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. A real nigga wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I would go home sleeping like, why is this kid doing better than me? I wouldn't be able to sleep. I don't blame you, nigga. I don't blame you. I would be mad too. I would be mad. If a nigga ratted and I spend my whole life trying to be a real nigga, I'd be mad too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I'm genuinely sorry. And another thing I want to address, for the King of New York shit, let's cut that out. Little boy, sit down. If you don't got this watch, I'm not beefing with anybody from New York if you don't got this watch. If you don't got this watch right here, you a little boy to me. I'll push you.
Now you see this right here, right? But here's the thing: it's all the perception, right? What he's doing is putting on a show. He's a minstrel, right? He's a bard. And if you think that these entertainers equate to real gangsters or any of that nature, they don't. Because they can't sit in front of your face, be open with it, rap, sing, dance on stage, and be out there torturing somebody in the back over a brick of coke. That's not even possible. It's who they're affiliated with, and this has been like that the whole time. It takes a lot of time to do production, to do a lot of things. Yes, does the underworld fund the entertainment industry? It always has, but then it comes to a cross where it can't fund it out in front like that. Like Vegas was built off the mafia's back. Um, Atlantic City, before Las Vegas came into fruition, was built off of prohibition. And you need to look in the history books. But that prohibition was built off of mafia. Yeah, Don Teasy, he is a clown. Very rich clown. But he's not stupid. See, that's a lot of things that people forget about court jesters. See, court jesters are the most dangerous out of the group because the court jester is the only one that walks around and can hear all the conversations in the court because no one pays them any attention. No one pays them any attention at all. They don't pay them any attention at all. At all. No whatsoever. They do not pay them any attention at all. They do not pay any attention at all. Right? And what you have to understand is you got to understand what else he did. And by understanding what else he did is you got to look at these laws and understand. See, a lot of times we don't get frustrated at when someone does something to us. We get frustrated that we fell for the foolery because we couldn't believe that this person did it to us. But in fact, in actual reality, they were already doing it. It's just that we fell for the trap. Are you mad at the person because if this person's done something to other people, if you have a friend and this person has went down the line and has done diabolical stuff and you've been loyal to that person and then it happens to you and then people don't pity you and the people that do pity you will come up and say that, man, I ain't never hear. I thought, he did it to me, but I never think he'll do it to you. But they're actually lying to you because they were waiting for it to happen. And you weren't mad that he did it to you or that person or who he or she did it to you. You're actually upset that you thought you were special, that it would never happen to you. And that's one of those things where we keep forgetting, right? And what he did was he enacted law number 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. No one likes feeling stupider than the next person. The trick then is to make your victims feel smart, and not just smart, but smarter than you are. Once convinced of this, they will never suspect that you may have ulterior motives. Well, I'll be damned. Right? Here we go. Right? Now, I just read that law. I'm going to bring it over. I'm going to put it up on the screen so you guys can see it. Right? But if you look at what he's saying and what he's doing, he was about to go, if he wouldn't have said anything, he was about to go to jail for 30 years of something that he had nothing to do with and never did anything. He made them money and then they took that to fund a criminal enterprise by him just being connected by having street cred. So he did 2 years by just being affiliated with a maximum sentence of 30 years. He gets out because everybody looks at him. If you just look at this guy that got tattoos on the side of his face, rainbow colored hair, all this other stuff, and he's got all of this going on, he looks like an idiot. Everyone perceived him as an idiot, but not only did he take his loss, his perceived loss, but he used the only card that he could play. Not only did he get out, like a lot of people don't even know. The people now, just to be 100, I am not condoning snitching. I just want y'all to know this. I'm just breaking down the power play. Like I said, I'm a pragmatist. I'm a pragmatist. Forget your feelings for 5 seconds and just break down what he's doing. Everybody thought he was the weakest side of the group. Everybody thought he was stupid. Everybody thought he was a fool. But guess what? They doing 30 plus years. He gets out and he's sitting in his house 2 years later in protective custody still because they still bringing charges and running down the list to get the bigger fish. So it's not over yet. And if anybody's stupid enough to touch him, and I'm pretty sure his bodyguards are Planet federal agents, right? They're going to jail for 30 years. So right now, he can cross over. He dropped the music video. It did so many numbers. In 2 years, people going to forget that he snitched. Like people forget that Tupac mom snitched and she was in witness protection in Baltimore. They honor her all the time. Very smart what he did. Very smart. They ain't lucky. It ain't lucky because you can't just snitch and come out making more money. You got to be smart to do something. He did something smart. He ain't dumb. He's very, very intelligent. And he's so intelligent that because the way he looks, people think he's stupid. Remember, you didn't hear about this gang until he came on the scene. They was only in the neighborhood. They were world renowned, known because of him. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I'm going to play more of this. I'm going to play more. I'm going to play more of this. I'm going to play more of this.
Boy, you a little boy. Sit down. King's home. It's over. It's over. Y'all got, and I get it. If you got one Richard Mille, nigga, this is all mine, nigga. Frankly, fucking get whatever y'all rappers do, that's mine, nigga. All 4 cars, Lambo, Lamborghini Aventador, Wraith, McLaren, G-Wagon. You name it, nigga. All mine, all bought up. Y'all can't fuck with me. Y'all can't compete with me. And I'm gonna let y'all niggas know that. But I'm sorry, and now let me break it down. I'm sorry. I want to say that I'm sorry to my fans because you know what? It wasn't worth it. It wasn't. And I'm gonna tell you what. If there is a street code, right? If there is a street code and there's something so called as loyalty and everything and no snitching and all of that, I get it, right? But where was the loyalty when you was sleeping with my baby mother? Where was the loyalty when you was caught on the wiretap trying to kill me? Where was the loyalty when you tried to kidnap my mother? Where was the loyalty when you were stealing millions of dollars from me? Where was that? So
now, he never spoke about this, but he never spoke about this, right? But here's the thing. You just heard what he just said. So I'm going to rewind that back. You know what I'm saying?
If there is a street code, right? If there is a street code and there's something so called as loyalty and everything and no snitching and all of that, I get it, right? But where was the loyalty when you was sleeping with my baby mother? Where was the loyalty when you was caught on the wiretap trying to kill me? Where was the loyalty when you tried to kidnap my mother? Where was the loyalty when you was stealing millions of dollars from me? Where was that? So who broke it first? I get it. Don't fight fire with fire. I'm sorry. But what did I do wrong? Be loyal to niggas that's fucking my baby moms? Be loyal to niggas that kidnap me? Beat the shit out of me on video and everything? I'm supposed to be loyal to that? No, you know what? You know what it is? Y'all don't want to accept the fact that those is all true facts. Y'all don't want to accept. Y'all understand why I snitch. Y'all understand. Y'all don't want to understand. It's not that y'all don't understand. Y'all don't want to understand. Y'all don't want to understand that, damn, this kid really was, he moved their families out of poverty. to me whether. But y'all understand. Let's just, y'all understand. And
Now, you see what he just said, right? Now, the thing is like I stated before in my opening salvo, my opening salvo, exactly, Ruby, right? Is no one knew about this. So he's getting the information from the feds because they've been surveilling them for 5 years. So on the wiretap that he just said that his own crew, put a hit out on him, kidnap his parents, kidnapped him, beat him up, tried to make it look like something else so they can force the protection, stealing money from him during the tour and everything like that. So basically, he was a pawn. He was like a cash cow, basically. Like a lot of these rappers are. Like when you keep seeing or hearing a rapper dead in the news, right? Biggie, Pac, all these rappers that you see that just died that's still out there. Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle died outside of his business in the hood, doing work. I remember when Nipsey Hussle came to Japan. I met the guy. This was when he was hawking all those tapes that that he had from Pac that no one heard that was released. A lot of Pac's released stuff that no one heard about came from Nipsey Hussle. After he finally got some cosign from Tupac's mom, but in the form of cosign, signing some contracts to pay and so forth and whatever. Right? So you don't go after a man's family. Loyalty stops right there. You want an enemy for life? You go after a man's family. That's rule number one. You want to send a message? You don't go after the man, you go after his family. If your own crew goes after your family, it's over. It's a wrap. Any man, he would have rather took that. They went at his baby moms. Now she ain't good in the whole thing because they probably was telling us some stuff, and you know how that works. You know what I'm saying? But he's over here the cash cow, and they basically smacking the bank. Now you see all of these legends in the hood, right? Jam Master Jay, 50. 50 didn't snitch when he got shot 9 times by Preem and them. When Preem got snatched up by the feds, it was so much stuff that he done did. Irv Gotti put out hits on 50. That's with Preem. So that's why him and Ja won't never be good. 50, every time Ja pops his head up, 50 going after. These are real beefs, but that is an old school. That is a time that we grew up in. This is a newer generation. They don't care. There is no street code because the people that laid the street code are rotting in the pen right now. I remember Bernie Mac first said when he was on Def Comedy Jam, and he had a skit, and Bernie Mac said this. He said he went to Cook County Jail, and he said, "Brother, what you locked up for? Nothing. You know." He said, "How much time you got? Ever?" There wasn't no forever. He said, "That's a long time." And Bernie Mac made a joke. 30 years for not being a punk, for not snitching. He said, "Shoot, Your Honor, he said, I'd have raised my hand and I'd have snitched on everybody. I'm not doing 30 years for nobody for nothing." Now, here's the thing. I don't condone snitching. But after he said what he's saying, because he's being glass jaw, because he's being transparent, now I understand. There was nothing left for him to protect. There was no honor in it. But let's listen exactly what he has to say past this.
understand. Y'all don't want to understand. All right, let me tell you. Before I got locked up, right? Before I got locked up, fuck that rainbow hair nigga. Fuck Tekashi Snap. Fuck him. Fuck that rainbow hair kid. Fuck him. Fuck that rainbow hair kid. Y'all didn't really have a reason to dislike me just because I screamed and raps and I got rainbow hair. That was y'all reason, right? Or he's mad, loud. That was y'all reason. But then now y'all got a reason. So of course the go-to is, oh, he snitched. He's a rat. He's a rat. So that's y'all go to, which I understand, and I don't blame y'all. I can't blame him. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my fans because they don't deserve it. My family, my mother, my family don't deserve that. And I'm sorry. But y'all not gonna break me down like if I did something wrong. Listen, I snitched, I ratted. But who was I supposed to be loyal to? If you can't be loyal to me out here in the free world, and you fucking my baby mom, and while I'm out on tour making money for all of us, you back at home sleep with my baby mom, then I get kidnapped, then you try to kill me. If you can't be loyal to me out here in the free world, wouldn't you think if I would have held it down, you wouldn't violate me in the prison, stab me up, poke me up in my neck? What? I'm not gonna lose my life over no hater, over no yo, you did the wrong. Nah, y'all understand it. Y'all don't want to understand it. Y'all don't want to understand it. But anyway, look.
So, if you heard what he just said, makes complete sense, right? If I've been holding y'all down and y'all violated me in the free world. I'm gonna go to prison, and y'all definitely gonna violate me in them walls. Yeah, you're right, Ruby. And most of these artists, with the persona that they put out, right? They have to be unreasonably full of themselves. It's a thing. Some of them are actually like that. But 9 times out of 10, when you get next to them, and I've been with a lot of them, some of them are unreasonably full of themselves, and they had no reason to be full of themselves. And some of them that you would think should be full of themselves are most down earth person, but it's when the cameras come on, it's when the stage lights click, it's like this switch. There has to be something in you to get up in front of thousands of people and perform like your life depended on it. Whether we think they're talented or not, it takes a lot of balls to do that. So I do give him credit for that. Now, this, on the other hand, this is between him and whoever to figure it out. Now, is anybody going to touch this dude? Somebody's going to try to make a name for themselves and try to beef with him. But I'm going to be honest with you. Snitching is such an Olympic sport. We live in a PC culture, social justice warrior culture, through the wrong actions and through the wrong reasons. We live in a Me Too movement era that is needed, but is heavy-handed. Everybody snitching on somebody every time you look at the news. The news is all about snitching. It's reporting snitching. So we find news more palatable if we're hearing what's going on, even in our own sector. It's nothing like dropping the receipts, right? The private conversations between two individuals that's snitching. Now, the retaliation is such to defend your reputation and your honor. No, that's not snitching. That's taking up for yourself. But when you first bring that out and then you're going to, quote unquote, expose somebody, yeah, that's snitching. If no one asked you, snitching is a violation of information that no one really asked for, or you provided for a certain purpose of getting something. Did the man snitch? Yes, but he didn't really snitch because they already wiretapped and already surveilled them. So he just basically validated what they already had. And by him validating what they already had, because he was the star witness, remember, the driver was a Mexican guy, and they already had him for 3 years. They were investigating these guys for 5 years. They got hit with mob sentences, but they didn't have mob-like lawyers. And even if we look at the mob, they did the same thing. But I want to go down one of these 48 laws, a couple of these, and if people, y'all feel, y'all want to speak on this, we can, jump into the Discord and, what I'm saying, and we can talk. I want to hear your what you have to say about it, and we can talk about it, and chime in. I would like to hear y'all chiming in. But yeah, so let me bring this in here. Okay, so, right, he used law number 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. When you are weaker, never fight for honor's sake. Choose surrender instead. Him not snitching would have been him fighting for honor's sake. So he chose to surrender. He chose to snitch. Surrender gives you time to recover, time to torment and irritate your conqueror, time to wait for his power to wane. See, his enemy wasn't the feds. It never was the feds. His enemy was his own camp. See, that's where people misconstrue, because in war, there is no honor in war. There is no honor in war. There are things that happen all the time in war that you don't know about. Things happen all the time. I can talk about this now. When they announced the war in Iraqi freedom, we was already bombing 2 hours ahead of time. The war was pretty much over 2 hours ahead of time. You got 9 warships out there, 10 warships like out there, 3 carriers. It was over with in 2 hours. When y'all got the announcement in the States that we was going to war, in Iraq, we was already done. It was already over. It was a wrap. Actually, I was on a frigate, and while they were launching missiles, I was sitting there watching Biker Boys. The movie about the black bikers and stuff. I was watching that. I was watching a movie outside on the flight deck because we didn't have a missile to shoot, so we had to protect the ships. And I was just watching. Yep. It looked like dawn at 8 o'clock at night. That's how many bombs was going on. So there's no honor in war. Right? So surrender gives you time to recover, time to torment and irritate your conqueror. Time to wait for his power to wane. Do not give him the satisfaction of fighting and defeating you. Surrender first by turning the other cheek. You infuriate and unsettle him. Make surrender a tool of power. So he surrendered. He surrendered. Now, he did another Law 24 is play the perfect quarter. The perfect quarter thrives in the world where everything revolves around power and political dexterity. He has mastered the art of indirection. He flatters, yields to superiors, and asserts power over others in the most oblique and graceful manner. Learn and apply the laws of courtship, and there will be no limit to how far you can rise in the court. The court that we're talking about is the court of public opinion. Our court doesn't matter anymore because we're not the future. He's 24 years old. He's 24 years old. This man is 15 years younger than me. 15 years younger than me. So if he's 15 years younger than me, then there's nothing that we have in common. Of course, I'm going to look at things. So he's a whole decade and a half younger than me. So the rules that I was governed by, he is no longer governed by those rules. And you're looking at how the rules will be made, but it's just reversing what history was. For you to have a culture, you have to have a way of instilling that culture. Just like with any children. You can't tell children to do something and then you don't follow through when you're in. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to turn out to be well-rounded adults, but you do set the environment for them and they understand. But here's the thing, the world doesn't operate like that. Because if he would have chose the honorable portion, he'd have been in jail with them. Actually, he would have got more time because he was the most known person. They would have made the case bigger by putting everything on his neck. They would have got out before him, put all the blame on him, and then that's would have been the end of it. Case closed, right? Now, he's doing Law 25 right before our eyes. Do not accept the roles that society forced on you. This is Law 25, recreate yourself. Recreate yourself by forging a new identity, one that commands attention and never bores the audience. Be the master of your own image rather than others defining it for you. Incorporate dramatic devices into your public gestures and actions. Your power will be enhanced and your character will seem larger than life. Well, I'll be damned. Well, I'll be damned. Now, I don't agree with what he's doing, but I don't discount Stu's rather he's rather smart. I just gave you some of the laws that he's instituting right now. And he's got the numbers to prove it. He's got the numbers to prove it. This is very intriguing because I like to dive deep and look into the psyche because a lot of times we go past and we think that because of the moral compass, like your morality is one, there's things in you that you will not do. That's already set to apart. And then there's other things that you will do or won't do because of society is governing that. So let's see, Zero. Yeah, the gang definitely broke the street code. Long live the Patriot Rev. Um, Says Nipsey was a legend. Already missed his music. Yeah, he was a legend. He went before his time. He was very talented, and he actually did for his community. But you saw how they took him out. Well, and because he was unreasonably full of himself, that's just me. No, I'm like he is Ruby. He is facts in war. You either win or you don't. That's true. Zero. That's true. And because they were okay with the results, that's why this wasn't another hidden one. Exactly. Exactly. And that's that's totally what it is. Um, I'm going to open up. Um, I'm going to open it up for hold on, let me pull this up here. We'll open this up for. I'm gonna open this up and let me see. Let me see real quick. Let me see real quick. Yeah, so I'm going to open this up here. Yeah, so I'm gonna open this up. So if anybody like to jump in, let's see what Ruby said. Only Deuce, you are correct. White Mexicans get off with a year served. Yep, that's true. A brother would have been in for 5. Exactly. 5. He probably would have got out in 2 with good behavior because they would have kept him in. They'd have probably kept him in. They'd have probably kept him in the what they call it. Yeah, they probably kept him in. They probably kept him in. I can't think of it right now. Protective custody, if I could say it like that. They probably kept him in protective custody. Um, if I think that's correct, they probably kept him in protective custody. Um, and he wouldn't have got that. You know what I'm saying? He'd have probably got 2 years because I think he got 5, and he got I think he got 5, and then he got 2 years served, and I think he got 2 years served, and I think he's got like a year of house arrest or something like that. Something crazy like that. Something crazy like that. I don't know. But whatever went down or whatever happened, like whatever went down or whatever happened, he got it. Like, and when I mean he got it, He got it. You know what I'm saying? He got it. So whatever happened, like whatever he did or whatever he was thinking about doing, um, he did it. And I want to know who he took down, because the names that they publish ain't the true people behind the mask. So they got some big fish. I'm like, they probably he I don't know what they had, but for him to only get, usually, even if he was a white Mexican, he'll probably get, like, if he was white, then he'll, I mean, he probably didn't even, he probably wouldn't even he probably went to jail, like club fed for like maybe like 30, I would say like 6 months. He went to jail for like 6 months or something like that. If I would say that, but he went to jail. Hmm. Yeah, that is crazy though. He went to jail for 2 years. I didn't even think it was 2 years. That was quick. Like, he went to jail for 2 years because they was just talking about the sentencing. Because he wanted to rush the sentencing so he can get his time over with. Then he got a then he got a yeah. I think he wanted to rush the sentencing or something like that. Um, far as or what happened or so have you. But yeah, so I don't know. It speaks, to a lot, you know. But this is what I'm saying is things have changed. Um, these are the observations that I've seen over the past couple of years, and these things they've changed a lot. Far as what we've seen, what we're talking about, far as a lot of things, you know, especially with everything that's been going on over the past, um, over the past couple of years, that the things that we remember of being people and seeing things and and going through a lot of stuff is, you know, we we as like we as people and noticing a lot of things is that the customs that we had, and it's up to us, um is up to us to keep those going, like even when it comes to education, even when it comes to just dealing with people, culture wise, people will forget over time. You know, people will forget over time. People will forget over time. People will not understand that this is something that, I mean, that, because if it's lost in a generation, would he had to have snitched? No. Would he have snitched? Now, see, here's another thing, right? I can't tell you yes or no completely 100%, but he probably would have snitched, even if the things didn't happen with his baby moms, even if the things would have happened, you know, like with his baby moms and all this stuff, and them kidnapping him and all of this other stuff, would he have snitched? Yes, I believe so, and I would say 65 to 75%, because he's the type of individual. Because remember, at the end of the day, not to make this a race thing, but he's Mexican, they black. He's a white Mexican, so he's not really accepted it. I said accepted by his Mexican counterparts. Plus, he was in New York. They ain't that many. They don't have the Latin community in New York. All come from the Caribbean, so he probably would fit in more with the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans, um, you know, people of that nature. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of El Salvadorians that are up there. So he doesn't really fit into that Caribbean culture. So you get, you know what I mean? So his parents might have moved to New York from you never know, past that. But those are just some things that you know, we don't know. We don't know. Hey Rubes, what's going on?
Hello, hello. Good evening.
Good evening. Hold on, let me put my headset in so you don't get any echoes.
Perfect.
We'll test here. Test it, test it. How can you hear me, Rubes?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Yeah, you getting any echoes?
No, no, it's good.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. In the chat, can y'all put a one up if y'all hear any echoes, a two if you don't? Yeah. Well, we'd like to thank Thalia for bringing up Takashi. So I had to look it up. I had to look it up. So thank Thalia, Poetic Kells. Thank you for coming through. So Rubes, what do you think about this?
Listen, I I have thought I can't even lie. Like I saw this boy come on the scene and I thought, what a joke. Eh, Not anything, just what a joke. And what he strikes me as is like a baby thug. Like he's playing at being a baby thug, right?
Mm-hmm.
So finding out that the gang of people he tried to be in with, um, were just like using him for a laugh and then as a fall guy and then trying to do a bunch of stuff to him because they figured he wasn't trustworthy, so they're gonna take him out to scare him and whatever they were doing. This is
Mm-hmm.
all before he came out, right? I
Mm-hmm.
kind of was like, yeah, I see that coming because you got so many of these guys these days that just like, oh, the gang is cool. I want to be part of a gang. Can I be part of your gang? Like, that's not the way things used to work, and that's still kind of not the way things work now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're too damn eager. I'm not trying to say it's right. I'm just saying if you're too eager, someone who's a real they're real gun toter. They're really trying to do some stuff. This is the only life that they know, and the only life they'll know until they die. That kind of person, like a guy like Takashi, didn't have any business with these guys to begin with.
No.
Uh, you know, so of course he snitched. He's not a real gangster. He's not really like some G. He's not any of that. Like he's living a cushy life that he got very early on. He didn't really come from anything too bad in life anyway. And he's supposed to give all that up for 30 years because what? Because playing baby gangster didn't work out for him? Like, really?
Well, you know what? You know what's the funny part is, it did work out for him, right? It's the fact that, how should I say it like this? It's from what I'm seeing nowadays, and I like watching Abba and Preach, right? Couple of one of next to you, one of my favorite Canadians. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh,
so,
thank you for putting me first.
yeah, right. But they were talking about this before, and I was listening to what they were saying, and Thalia brought it up, and I went to go watch it because I wasn't going to go watch it, but I said, "Hey, you know what? Let me go watch it." And after listening to what they were saying, and after watching what he said over and over again, I wanted to dive deep into the psyche of things with us have changed. Um, Society is moving in a new paradigm with a lot of the constructs. The honor code is completely out of the window, and especially after the president that we have right now. And it's not just that; it's been happening for a while now. He he rapped, but if he would have went and did it the regular way, no one would cared about him, right?
Yeah.
So what he did was, and he even said it, no one cares about the Mexican kid with the rainbow hair. He said it. He said it about
Mm-hmm.
himself. So he knew what he was doing,
Oh yeah.
right? And they knew what he was doing, right?
Yep.
So it was a deal. Now, whoever breaks the deal first, they didn't think that he had it in him
Right.
to turn this situation not only into a win, but he thoroughly crushed them. All of his enemies are in jail for 30 years. And all of those people that they made enemies of are in jail with them.
Yep.
And they have no way of touching him. And they used to have money. So they made more enemies. And how would you feel if you was in jail with a guy that is nationally known, got all this money, took some young quote unquote herb, we call them herbs from where I'm from, you know, and that's short for herbivores, basically civilians. You're not in the gang life, right? You
Right.
took this herb, you propped them up, right? We got all these talented dudes here that live that lifestyle that would have went out on the sword without you asking them, and you prop this kid up that ain't even black, and you want us to give you sympathy.
Right.
They ain't getting no sympathy in jail.
Nope.
None at all.
Ain't gonna happen. Because that's why I said things might have changed, but they didn't change that much. There
No,
are
they didn't.
some truths that are still truths.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Because now you're in jail, and then those OGs that had the code. Because for these guys to get into power, they had to get rid of the OGs, right? So a lot of times people don't realize a lot of times when OGs go to jail, they don't a lot of times when the OGs go to jail, they don't go to jail for the crimes or the stuff that they committed. They go to jail for tax evasion and fraud, tax
Right.
fraud, right? But then they tack on a criminal enterprise and stuff like that. So the OGs is just cop to the tax fraud, but they still go to jail. But they don't snitch on
Right.
nobody, right? Because no one's going to do time for the tax fraud. But how did the feds get in there to know such and such? Because somebody that was right next to them snitched the next in line to take over. You don't think the OG remember? Like if people get this not snitching thing, the not snitching thing is only for foot soldiers. It's not for people on a higher tier. Because you got more to lose. If
That's
you're a foot soldier, you don't got really nothing to lose but your family.
that's why they anyone who's a higher up person, they know. They that's why they're scared. Because they know that, you know what? You might snitch, right? Why? Because you're higher up there. Stakes are bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So this is why it becomes a real foot soldier. They're not gonna take you out just got caught because you're probably enough. The idea that you'll have family to tell you, but
Mm-hmm.
they're probably a higher up. They're the ones sweating that root.
Right.
That they know knows the higher up, the less are everyone out there.
Mm. Rubes, you going in and out. I think we were getting every
Oh,
other
am I?
word. Yeah, yeah, there you go, there you go. Yeah, we were going in and out. We
Well,
were getting
you know
every
what?
other word.
Let me leave and come back. I'll be right back.
Okay, Discord demons. Um,
Yep.
yeah. How's the volume now? For everybody that's in the chat. Is it higher now? Can y'all
Uh,
hear? Yeah, people were saying the volume was rather low, so let me get the
how's
mix
the
right.
volume now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. I'm trying to make sure everybody else can hear you. Can't hear Ruby. Why can't you hear Ruby?
Aw.
Hold on, let me pop it up. Can y'all hear Ruby? Ruby say something?
Hello, testing 1 2.
Can you
Mic check. Mic check 1 2.
can y'all hear Ruby? Can y'all hear Ruby now in the chat? It's a little delay on the live stream.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a little delay waiting for people to see something. So let me see. I pop that up. Okay. Trying to get this Discord to work here.
Well, y'all still can't hear me? Like
Yeah.
y'all still can't hear me at all? I'm too quiet?
Oh no, they can hear you now. It's better, but she can still be louder. Okay. All right. Well, I don't think she can get much louder than this.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like am I loud to you? Maybe
Oh yeah.
because I noticed when you were playing the Takashi 6ix9ine video,
Hmm.
it was also quieter than you were.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's probably because of the mix. The mix wise. Okay. So let me bump this up. And okay. Okay. You say we can hear us perfectly now. Okay. So I bumped it up.
Nice.
Yeah. So let me go into Discord here myself. And then what I'll do is, yep, no, I got you up. I got you up. So, yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, okay. So say that's better now. All right. So yeah, go away. Go ahead, Ruby.
I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh yeah. Okay, I remember.
Mhm.
But that explains why it is that the guys who are higher up, you would think the higher up you were, kind of like the safer you were. That's actually almost how it was. It used to be back in the day, because the higher up you were, the more likely it was, your family would be taken care of. You'd have a seat at the throne in prison and stuff. But now it's the opposite way for sure,
Yeah,
where the higher up you are, everyone out there is scared you got caught because you're probably gonna snitch, right?
yeah,
Why the hell not?
yeah. Like it was. I remember it was several times I was out with my OG, right, and I think something happened at the pool hall, and they went to have a little meeting in the back alley, and everybody knows when you have a meeting in the back alley, somebody getting fired,
Mm,
literally, right? Or if you have a meeting in the basement, if 8 people go in the basement and 7 people come out, and I see this old man that owns the funeral home walk down into the basement, it is what it is.
mm,
Now, when this happened, something went down. I guess the dude got away. One of the younger up and coming dudes ran up to the OG, was like, OG, give me that. And he was saying, no, it's not your turn. And he handed it to an older guy. The older guy took it, sat outside, waited for the cops, smeared the blood on them, and they took him away. And then we went to the courthouse, and they charged him with assault, gave him 5 years. Since he was a repeat offender, he had to do the full 5. Now, he had my OG's lawyer with him. If he didn't have a lawyer, he'd have got 10, 8 to 10, mandatory.
right.
But he only got 5 with no parole. Due with the guilty plea, the guy was in the courtroom scared because they asked him, was there anybody else in the courtroom that you can finger, that whatever. He looked around, he was on the witness stand, he saw the OG, the OG looked over at his family, he put his head down and said, nah, he did it.
Hmm.
That was the end of that. Next thing you know, dude, whole family moves out of the neighborhood on the other side of town.
Oh yeah. But like, see, before, like, I mean, and you brought up a whole bunch of really good points about what it used to be before. But like, things weren't as vicious. Like, I mean, needlessly vicious. Like, there was a bunch of rules. There used to be rules, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, for example, like if there was just some random citizen walking down the street and they happen to be wearing the wrong color T-shirt, you're not gonna gun them down because they're not part of the light. Like, they're just goddamn, they sell T-shirts in every color. Or someone accidentally scuffs your kicks, you're not gonna get a murder charge because someone scuffed your kicks. Like, there were some things where it's like, all right, you had there were levels,
Yeah.
but youth got violent. They got vicious, and there's no honor. Period. It's just about hatred and anger and violence and viciousness and I don't think that they have enough space or time to build like code or respect or anything like that.
I think what it is just like anything in nature, right? Remember on the Lion King, when Mufasa died and Scar took over and the hyenas ran amok, right? They just ate everything in sight,
Hmm.
right? And hyenas won't normally do that, but they were just made to be the bad guys. But
Right.
the you saw what happened, and then when Simba came back, they did the symbolic roar thing, and everything gets fixed. Well, just like that old saying, there's balance, right? Without dark, there isn't light. And if there's too much light, it turns into darkness. And if there's too much darkness, it turns into light, right? And what that saying means is that even in the so called underworld, there has to be a balance.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, what people don't realize when I grew up is that the police did not keep order. The gangsters kept order in the neighborhood.
Facts.
People don't realize that. The safety, because if you think about it, like the school lunch program was instituted, implemented, and organized by the Black Panther Party. They were considered the gangsters. A lot of them were gangsters. Now they had rules. You don't sell drugs around schools, churches, things of that nature. They protected the the youth. They Bumpy Johnson used to and Frank Lucas used to hand out turkeys during Thanksgiving. If you was low on your rent and you was a single mom with kids, they would go and pay your rent or talk to the landlord to give you a reprieve, at least for the winter, right? They would get you a job somewhere. That's why they were called the
Right.
Kings of Harlem, the Kings of New York, because that's how it worked. When you remove those type of people because they had this ebb and flow with law enforcement, gangsters actually made the police jobs easier. You know, you cannot you can't walk in the light without a shadow.
True.
Mm. Now,
See, then
oh, go ahead, Ruby.
you look at like I think everyone talks about and I mean it's actually talked about frequently enough now that people understand that the Crips and the Bloods were not initially like these gang underworld enterprises that were about selling drugs and shooting people, right? um so you had these, they were there to help build and protect and uplift their neighborhoods, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the 80s happened,
Yeah,
guns and drugs in the streets happened. We just drop them in the neighborhoods and see what happens with all that unemployment and all of the mortgages crashing and bankrupting 80% of the black community. We'll just see what happens, right?
yeah, yeah. Like, like people think the government came and we're going to drop these drugs because we know what's going to happen because we're that smart, right? But the government just used what they did with prohibition. Prohibition happened through the Great Depression. You you make alcohol illegal, then these mafia families. You talking about after World War II? They coming back from the war armed to the teeth, and now the drug of choice is alcohol. Remember, people keep forgetting Coca Cola used to have cocaine in it.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like they used to, if you had a pain, if you were pained up or something like that, they used to have you smoke opium. The doctor will prescribe opium to you. If you go look at these old pharmaceuticals and stuff like that, it was actually opium, heroin in it. What was the 60s? That's when we talk about LSD. People tripping on acid, methamphetamine. Um, a lot of things that were
Well,
instituted.
codeine was basically ibuprofen.
Yep.
Like if whatever was wrong with you, you take a little codeine tablet, and if you had any issue that involved bleeding, they'd give you cigarettes, right? So
Yeah.
doctors prescribe cigarettes. Let's be real.
Yeah, exactly. In war, they would give you your rations, your pack, and you had a pack of cigarettes. And people don't understand that cigarettes actually curb your appetite. So if you're a soldier and you're smoking cigarettes or you're dipping, if you're out in the field, chewing tobacco works because the enemy can't see you smoking and blow your head off, right? But chewing tobacco works to keep you up, right? So you're dealing with sleep deprivation. So cigarettes and coffee was like you drinking one can of Red Bull, and it also curbs your appetite. You notice when people quit smoking, they got to eat everything in sight after about 24 hours or 48 hours.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you as someone who quit smoking, and I quit smoking by vaping. So I actually replaced the nicotine. So it's not like I went through nicotine withdrawal. I just withdrew from the rest of cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, like my sugar intake went through the roof,
Yep.
through the roof. Like it's all you want to do is just consume sugar constantly. Like if I didn't have like a vape in my hand, I had food in my hand.
Yeah, because natural like, well, not natural, right? But store bought cigarettes with all those chemicals in it. The best way for you to absorb anything into your body is through vapor, or, well, the number one way is for you just to shoot it up, right? Hey, what's going on, Q? For you to just shoot it up, but absorbing it through vapor through your lungs and stuff like that, it'll get in your bloodstream quicker. So of course, yeah, sugar is ridiculous. In Japan, it's illegal to sell nicotine in vape juice. Yeah, yeah, it's illegal to. Well, it's not because they're all healthy. It's just that their tobacco industry would hit the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I don't blame them
yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah. It was
Being
hit the
honest,
ground. Like
I mean, because countries like Finland, it
mhm.
is Finland. There's a couple of those countries out there, or whatever. They're like at like 90% the population vapes, and only like 2% like smoke
Mhm.
anymore.
Yeah,
Right? Those are people who were not reliant on tobacco sales for any reason.
yeah. Well, they got weed too, so you yeah, yeah.
Actually,
And so I would say like maybe out of that 98%, let's just say about 60% is vaping some cannabis oils or something like that. They vaping away, like, it. But I did some research into tobacco, and I noticed something, that tobacco smoked grown naturally without any chemicals does not cause cancer
nope,
at all. At all.
nope. The only incidence of cancer with tobacco would be the small part that it, like from breathing in actual something burning, right? Like if you
Mm-hmm.
burn tobacco, then you have a connection to cancer. In the same way, if you stand around campfires your whole entire life, you have a small incidence of getting some type of airway cancer.
Yep.
But tobacco in and of itself, like, because if you think about it, doing chew, so now you're not burning anything, has a wicked high incidence of mouth and throat cancers
Of
and
course.
stomach cancers,
Of course. Yeah.
right? But if it's made from all natural tobacco, no,
No.
not at all.
Yeah. and within moderation, right? Like there's a reason why the Native Americans, you know, they would use a peace pipe, right? They use a peace pipe, or quote unquote, like in the Caribbean, a chalice, um, or the people that were from indigenous to Cuba, they would roll their cigars in tobacco leaves. And you don't inhale cigars, you puff cigars. So, you got people living to 100 something, smoking, puffing cigars. You got people that smoke natural tobacco, living to 80, 90 years of age, and nothing's wrong with them. So why? Because you take you take something, you add a chemical to it, you get people forced to be addicted to it, right? And now you have reoccurring customers. Now,
Think about how many chemicals. Hold on. I just want to
yeah,
be clear. They
hmm
don't add one chemical. They add over 5,000. Add over
add,
5,000 chemicals that do not exist in natural tobacco, even their modified versions of natural tobacco. They add an extra 5,000 chemicals, over 5,000 chemicals.
hmm
Sorry, just like,
now think about,
including antidepressants, in case any of you were wondering, because a lot of people don't understand that they're giving you drugs, actual drugs,
hmm
through your cigarettes.
yeah, they give
Insane.
you got an antidepressant, right? You feel mad, upset. Let me smoke. All right, I feel better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you get in, like, I realized something. When I would go out to drink, right, I would feel like shit if I didn't have a black and mild. Like if I was drinking and I didn't like, I'm not a smoker like that. I don't like smoke cigarettes or anything like that. But if I was out drinking and I didn't have a cigar, a cigarillo, a black and mild, which is a cigarillo, or my thing is hookah. I like hookah, right? If I was just sitting up there drinking, I wouldn't have a good time. I need to smoke
Really?
something. Yeah, because it's like everybody else is smoking. Well, I want to smoke. Like I want to just chill out. You know what I mean? And now the thing with the hookah is the filtering through the water makes everything smoother and it tastes great. Still the same thing about smoking, right? But you know that in itself, it's a piece, right? Just like your vape, right? Like you smoke your vape. What you have is a miniature version of a hookah. Does the
Yeah,
same thing.
pretty much.
Same thing. It's more compact. I don't have a vaporizer because I be puffing on that thing all day. Because I'm allergic to stupid people. Like people that be dumb around me, I get angry. I be smoking on that thing all day. But
I do. Like it's like a constant. It's in my hand right now.
yeah,
Literally in between sentences, I'm vaping. It's really bad.
yeah, it's like it's so relaxing, right? You can deal with the whole world, right? It's just like, hey, what's going
No, you
on?
know what though? It is different actually. Like nicotine gets more of a punch if you do it infrequently.
Hmm.
And so if you got like a higher dose and did it like much more infrequently, you'd have a better result than if you constantly vape.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also different than cigarettes because okay, so to explain the way that they made cigarettes, this is on purpose, people. First, what they did was they put what's that stuff called? The embalming fluid, basically,
Yeah,
in
formaldehyde.
formaldehyde. Thank you.
Hmm.
And what that does is all of those little cilia, those little hairs that line your throat and your nose and everything, and your lungs, it makes them lie down flat. That way you don't cough. The cigarette's never irritating going down. It's always smooth, right?
Hmm.
Magically smooth. That's why. But then what happens is the way that they formulate it in such a way that every time you breathe in, you're getting your full dose of those 5,000 chemicals. Feels great, right? Every time you exhale, as soon as you're done exhaling, you are already withdrawing from those 5,000 chemicals. That's how temporary it is. So every time you put out a cigarette, you are already withdrawing from the cigarette. So when you think
that you're irritated as hell because of stupid people and you need a cigarette to deal with that because you just can't deal with the frustration without a cigarette, you're actually going through massive amounts of withdrawal. And that's why smoking makes it feel better. It's not because it helps you deal with any form of anxiety or whatever. The anxiety you are feeling is because you're withdrawing from cigarettes. Because like
Hmm.
I never thought I'd be able to deal with frustration and stuff with like without smoking, but I can like deal with something frustrating or whatever without needing my vape. It's not the same connection anymore. It's because it doesn't have that extra 5,000 chemicals that I'm withdrawing from that my body has been needing since I put out my last cigarette.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't blame you. Like I seen a lot of people that said vaping has got them weaned them off of uh, you know cigarettes and they feel better about it, right? Now the thing about the whole weed and everything being legal, for them to legalize something, they have to add chemicals to it, right? So they can be in control of something, right? And then a company has to mass produce it because then you have to fall underneath these guidelines. Now, for the average Joe, the the little guy, he has to basically come under these guidelines, right? So they're still testing it. They're still coming out with these strands because they got strands that's too powerful for TV. Like they got stuff like that moon rock stuff. Nah, nope, mm-mm. Nah, nah, nah. You don't need to be high for a whole 2.5 days. No, no,
No,
no.
no,
I made a mistake.
I don't.
Listen, listen, Ruby. I'm gonna tell you. I made a mistake. I'm gonna
Oh
tell you.
no.
Yeah. So, see, I never did these edible things, right? See, I'm used to. No, I'm used to just head high, like right. You know, like some people smoke for certain reasons. When I do partake, it's like a community thing, right? It's it's like a kind of like it's a whole service that has to happen from the rolling to the lighting. There has to be a conversation. We ain't going nowhere. Make sure the food is already ready, cause ain't nothing like being high, then being hungry, and trying to figure out what you gonna get to eat. We don't do that
True.
around here because that's when you get in trouble, right? You go into the car thinking you gonna smoke up. Next thing you know, you're gonna get something to eat, and then the police are pulling you over in your own driveway, right? Or you just spent a whole bunch of money at White Castle or some crazy place like that. Got a whole bunch of stuff you ain't need to get. So that's why I said, you know what, I'm gonna try this edible, right? So I'm at my friend's house. He give me these cookies, right? So we eat the cookie. Nothing happens to me, right? So I didn't know how this works. So I leave his house with the cookies. I'm walking to the train station. Now, mind you, he lives about a good 5 miles away from me. It's the middle of the summer. We just came from the gym.
Mm,
I'm hungry. I go
I knew
grab
it.
I grab me something to drink. I eat another cookie. This is a
Oh
big
no.
cookie, right? So I done ate two Moon Rock edible cookies. I walk all the way home, bypass the train station. I don't believe that I'm high at this moment because it's a body high. I get home. I'm sitting there watching something on TV, and my mind looks at me like, you have one of them out of body experiences.
Hmm.
It was like, hey man, you're high now. And I said, thank you. Am I? Right? I'm having a full conversation with myself.
Oh my.
Now, I'm not saying this like loudly, but it's in my mind, right? My mind is talking to myself. So I'm used to this. I'm not crazy. I'm an only child. I have conversations with myself. Bear with me, people. Maybe you should
Okay.
too, right? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real. You people, just be real. Everybody has a conversation with themselves. How many times you don't went upstairs and said, man, what did I come up here for? There's nobody around you. Who are you asking?
See, I think they say that it's not insanity to talk to yourself. You're only crazy if you answer yourself.
Well, we
I
ask
think
ourselves all the
that's the
time,
marker.
right? When you do something dumb, wasn't that a stupid thing to do? Yeah, it was a stupid thing to do. There's nobody around you.
That's when you're used to being alone a lot.
Yeah,
Real talk. It's when you're used to being alone and you're inside of this space alone, and it's like you wouldn't mind some human feedback right now, but
yeah,
there are no humans, and the humans you could reach out to right now that are available are just not the right kind of human for this type of interaction, and plus they didn't see it, so they won't get it.
yeah,
All right, I'll give you that. I
yeah,
think it's more if you do it constantly. We'll give you that. Okay, as long as you're not doing it 24/7.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Like now, if you do it while other people are there, okay, you're crazy. You need to go see somebody. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay. There you go. If
Yeah,
there are other humans and you could speak to them because they're in the room with you, and you choose to ask a question out loud and then answer yourself back and have a full dialogue with you, you're probably crazy.
yeah. So people that talk about themselves in third person, like they're a whole separate entity, those people are borderline crazy.
No, they really are.
Yeah, we see it a
It's
lot.
icky. It's icky.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, Joey doesn't do that. Aren't you Joey? We
Right?
don't. So we talking about Joey? I'm talking about you. Like, say, but we think it's funny. But I digress. So I'm sitting there like, okay, I'm hot. Okay, cool. And and it starts to keep going higher, right? But it's a body high, right? It's like my body's moving, but the mind is not catching up. Like it's like, okay, I want to stand up, but I'm already standing up. I don't like this. This is not cool,
No.
right? No. So I decide to do what every veteran does. And you know what they do? They go to sleep. You sleep it off, right? Go to sleep. I go to sleep. The best sleep I done had in years. 12 hours of knock the fuck out, right? I wake up refreshed. But I'm still high. This is not cool. This is bad for everybody involved. Because I got stuff to do. I am a responsible adult. Very responsible, right? So I said, well, what can I do to bring this down a level? I'm checking my reactions. I have control. My mind and body is in sync, but I'm still with this this kind of like light body feeling. So I go to the gym, right? I do leg day. Leg day over the age of 32 takes a 2 to 3 day recovery. This is when you know you did leg day the best. When you can't walk down steps.
True.
Yeah, sitting down is like its own adventure. Things hurt that you never knew that hurt, right? So I go to the gym, knock out championship leg day. Come home, don't feel nothing. Walking up and down stairs. The next day, same thing. Now, at about 6 o'clock in the evening, it goes away. Very subtle. You know how I knew it went away? When I decided to run up some steps, felt the little pain, but when I came down the steps and I hit that first steps, I sat there. and reevaluated my life. Because all of that pain that was stored up came right back. You know, when you take some pain meds and they wear off, the
Hmm.
pain doesn't go away, it's always there. It's just a dam just holding it back. And it's actually worse than when you didn't even take the pain meds because you would have kind of got used to the pain over time. But then you was being a wuss and didn't want to deal with the pain, but the pain is still there.
Yep.
And you're more sensitive to it than if you would have just dealt with it in moderation.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Listen. I'm the queen of medicating my pain. I have, like name a type of way of medicating pain. So whether it's muscle relaxants, anti-inflammatories, right, nerve pain, regular pain, I have everything. So and I can tell people before when I used to take them at staggered times. So I was never really taking more than one or two drugs at the same time.
Yeah.
Because they all had different times. I knew exactly which drug dropped off when. I could tell by the kind of pain that kicked in,
Mm.
right? But it's like before I took the medication that day, I was kind of okay. Like, it was bad, but you can work with it. But I think what it is, it's like, it's almost like because you have all this extra medication, you're moving around and you're doing all this stuff. So when it falls off, you're used to moving your body in a way that the pain would have told you no from the start, and you never would have done that.
Yeah.
Never would have done that, but
Nope.
you did it because you didn't know.
You didn't
And
know.
then as soon as you do it, you regret it, and you don't know how to move back to position A from position B without making the pain worse. Now what?
Now what? See, people don't realize that, right? Like things have changed where weed now has got just as powerful as Percocets and Vicodin and Valium.
Oh yeah.
Weed doesn't naturally be that powerful. That means someone sat in the lab and figured out how to grow a plant and isolate it to a point where you can get the full amount of THC possible, extract it, and put it into a cookie.
I mean, they're basically, and I hate to do this to y'all, but it's true. Genetically modified organism, GMO,
Mm.
something that would not naturally occur in nature on its own without, or at least it wouldn't have occurred right now in this moment without some type of human intervention,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what we're talking about with what you think these magical 15, 25 strains of weed that showed up.
Mm-mm.
We just magically evolved in the last 20 years. I don't know. It just came out of nowhere. Like, you think that really happened?
Nope.
Honestly?
Like you know the funny thing is the Marley Brothers have their own strain, right? They call it strains now, right? Uh, Wiz Khalifa has his own strain called Kiki or something like that. He said he can't smoke no other strain but his own. People are making designer strains just for them.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. See, back in my days, we had cess and hydro. That was it.
That was
And
it.
those are the only two terms I knew. Finally, because I've been needing I've been wanting to try cannabinoid oil. My doctor wants me on it too. But the thing is, I'm hypersensitive to THC. Like, I can take two pulls from one spliff at noon, and I will be high until 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Really, really high. Like the kind of high that is abnormal, and no one gets that kind of high off of weed, but I do, right?
Yeah.
So I can't handle it much, but I used to be able to handle cess, which is the one no one else wanted to smoke. So
Right.
I described it to the guy, and I said everyone else, it made them pass right out, right? But for me, it actually made me feel like chill, good, but I could think clearly. I was actually thinking pretty rapidly and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, well, you have an abnormal reaction. But he's like, there's two different types. No matter what strains people invent, there's two kinds. There's sativa and indica. And I'm
Yep.
like, okay, which one do I want? He's like, think about indica equals inda couch, right? So using inda couch, and you want the inda couch one. And I'm like, all right, inda couch it is. So
Mm-hmm.
now, despite all of the other types of names and all the descriptions that they say, I just look, is it an indica or a sativa? That's the only way you can really know what the heck you're getting on any level. But even then, people who smoke these things or even do the cannabinoid oils,
Hmm.
they say like you can really tell one strain from the other.
Yeah,
Even if like they're both sativas or they're both indicas or whatever, you can really tell.
yeah. You can tell, and they got hybrids. That's like a certain percentage of indica and sativa and all of this. Hold on, let me uh Sharja said the third person disassociates. That is true. Darkman Jeff, what's up, man? You been had a wrench. You just didn't stop by lately. I know you've been busy. Hope everything's good with you. Because I was looking into it. Now the cannibal oil, a lot of them, you have the ones that don't have any THC in it, that they use for people that have seizures or things like that. But if you're talking about like chronic pain, you need the THC content completely, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
you
you
need it.
see, actually, and interestingly enough, so what they said basically was there's very few true 0% THCs
Hmm.
cannabinoid oils,
Yes.
because in order for them to call it 0%, it only has to fall underneath a certain percentage. I think it's 0.0 something 1% of THC, and then they can call it 0%, even though it's not. So, and that's where I started getting scared, because then you have to be really you have to really do your research to find the like 1 out of 300 that are actually true 0%. But again, I can't risk like the last time someone gave me THC, I actually got medical. They were pills, right? And it was
Oh,
synthetic THC in them, and
oh
it was
God.
for extreme nausea.
Hmm.
And I took the pills because I had been sick. I had been nauseous for like weeks, trying one medication after the other. And so I took the pills first, and I took two, not one, two, and then I read what it was, and I went, "Oh shit, it's gonna be a bad day," right?
Hmm.
And I was actually fine for, let's say, the first hour.
Mm.
And then I was lying there and I was watching TV, and I don't remember what happened. If like a cat brushed by me or something, and this whole wave and ripple went up my body, and then it wouldn't stop rippling on the sides of my face. And I was like, okay, I need to go to the hospital now. And of course, no one was listening to me. And then I screamed it, and then the scream kept echoing in my head, and I
Ooh.
couldn't stop the scream from happening. And then I blinked and we were at the hospital, and there were nurses, and they were peeking in and laughing at me because I'm on an IV drip, but I'm not actually dying. I just think I am. And
Mm.
I'm blinking and looking at the clock, and like 2 hours are going by, 4 hours are going by, but I'm not remembering the time that goes by. Like, I
Yeah.
have a really extreme reaction to THC. That's not normal.
Yeah, that's
So,
not normal. Yeah, that's and those are small percentages, but they even said like you have to. The bad part, um, when people are trying to get medical, medical marijuana, whatever pain medication, they got to send you this whole gauntlet of pain medication. Then
yep.
they gotta like dry you out, detox you from the pain medication. So you gotta deal with the pain. Then you gotta go through all of this, and then you get the one that's for you, and then you move forward.
Well, here they don't do that.
Yeah.
So, like, literally adding cannabinoid oil to it's just adding yet another medication
Hmm.
to my rotation. If it starts to help, then I can I could either self start titrating, as in cutting down medications and just being like, I don't think I need this much today. Let's see what happens if I don't take it.
Hmm.
Um, or if it's doing a good enough job of covering me, then I can go to my doctor. There's faster ways, for example, to get off opiates than to titrate them. If you
Yeah.
really don't need them, you could take like a low dose Suboxone for a bit just to get off of it, and then stop the Suboxone.
Yeah.
So, but they didn't, like, as far as there was never any suggestion about actually going off of any of the other medications first. It was more like you take this,
Oh,
and then when you find one that's working for you, then hopefully that will replace at least maybe muscle relaxants, the nerve, some of the nerve pain, stuff like that, and then you can slowly bring those doses down.
see, that's what I was saying. Like, and we're hearing like the from what I've heard in the States, the version we're hearing it, how they do things in Canada and other countries is because
Different.
it's totally different because you know you know medicine is supposed to help you, cure you, to get you
Right.
off of so you can go on and be regular. It's not to keep you on it forever. But people don't understand that concept because we live in a capitalist society. Um,
True.
and
True.
I'm looking at, they're going to extend a lot of these things, far as help. I think they're going to do more stimulus bills, giving people more money because they can't really go back to reopening because the little test trials that they had of opening up places, they done had a spike in cases. Um,
Hmm. Of
and
course,
yeah, what I'm saying.
as history constantly shows, that's exactly what would happen if you opened everything up. Like, what
Yeah,
did they think was going to happen?
it, and it's like, all right, we just had the flu. Flu season is over. Ho 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 ho. Like this is not like a natural occurring flu, right? This is a man-made, thing that got loose, um, and the natural occurrence of antibodies didn't happen. Like people die from the flu every year, worldwide, right? And every year the flu, it evolves, you know,
Yeah.
and this
But you know
COVID.
what also, DeAndre,
Yeah.
is that okay? And here's the thing: flu overall across the world, is just not as deadly. And because, like in the Western world, the flu and COVID-19 are approximately as deadly. They're both at about 5%. Um, but the thing is that that's because we have Western medicine and we have so many things to help to mitigate some of the more serious effects. So that way, when you get really serious complications, well, we have most people, even if it's expensive, they have access to healthcare that will help them. Whereas in across the world, that's not the case, and so you're seeing 10 or 11% in other places.
Hmm.
But what we're missing and we're failing to miss is the reason why there was an emergency response is because unlike the flu that we allowed to saturate the population and
Hmm.
we literally let it saturate. So
Of
30 to
course.
50 million people this year get the flu as usual. We're not particularly concerned.
Hmm.
We can't afford to allow 30 to 50 million people get COVID-19. We
Of course
cannot
not.
allow that to happen. It's too much,
Yeah.
right? And so therefore we can't, as much as like and I continue to say we need to stop ignoring the flu because it actually is very serious. We can't ignore COVID-19. Like we can't look at the actual results and data and see that it would be very stupid for America open things up where the numbers currently stand per capita because
Hmm.
per capita America is still a lot higher than everywhere else.
Yeah. Hmm. It's America and England. My wife just she just finally got back, flew in. She said on the plane that they had to do social distancing, so every row on the plane had one passenger.
Huh.
Yeah, and when she flew in, after you go through immigration, um, they bring you into a room after they do the COVID testing, ask you some questions, then they take it to somebody. This is in Japan, mind you. And then when you leave, you know how you go to the luggage to get your luggage? Your luggage was already waiting for you.
Oh.
Take your luggage, get out. Now, Nothing was open in the airport. Nothing, no coffee shops, nothing. And you couldn't take public transportation, so you had to basically, I guess she told me you had to tell them how you were getting home through an approved travel service like a Uber or something like that, or a cab or something, or someone had to pick you up. And then she's on 14-day imposed quarantine, so she's in the house and she can only leave unless it's absolutely necessary, like a doctor's appointment or something like that.
Right.
So that that's what they're doing here. I don't know where
Did
they're
she
doing
have
everything.
to pay extra for her flight, given that the plane's like not even half full? I'm guessing, right? Like,
No, not from what it was a regular plane ticket. Other than that, I don't think she had to pay extra for the flight. It was just the whole thing that um, it was just some other stuff that she had to deal with. I'm not going to go too much in detail, but she told me the the whole process of you know it's not the flying out, it's the actually landing wherever you're going. So if you're coming from the U.S. or you're coming from England, because they got the thing right there, and they got a list of countries each country has its own list, so you would have to actually check that country's embassy thing and so forth. So far
oh
as
wow.
that, yeah. So they're doing some things. Hold on. Oni asks, uh, you don't think that we will receive another stimulus check? Um, they're already bringing forth a bill. I think it's a $3 trillion bill. I think the Democrats are bringing forth in the House for another stimulus check that they're bringing forth. So I think this is going to go up to 2022. So your taxes is going to be light for 2021 and 2022. So every time you get a stimulus check, they cutting into your taxes, your tax returns for the future.
Like, do you think is this that thing where they're saying basically they're going to pay $2,000 per adult and then $2,000 per kid? So like a joint filing house with three kids is going to make 6 grand, or wait, no, 10 grand. Sorry,
I
per month.
I don't even think that is even possible. I think there should be a cutoff. um, you would probably take like a joint filing house, right? I think the average American, and I'm just only speaking for America, um, if you have a mother and a father and you have three kids, right? 5-person household on average, right? Let's just say that. And the average after taxes that people make is about 2,500 a month. Because you're taking like your biggest, you know, population of, of people that make, people are just barely at poverty or a little bit below it. So you're talking about $5,000 a month. So I would
Hmm.
think might cap out at 5,000. I think that's it. Um, what they should do, and this is just me, um, because you got unemployment on the state level, people are filing for unemployment. They're getting an extra, I think, $400 a month for unemployment. That's going to be extended all the way until December. I don't see anything opening up really. You know, Businesses are going to suffer all the way until September,
Yeah.
October. So this is really putting the whole world at a standstill.
Yep. Yep.
Oni said I didn't know that planes are still flying. Yeah, they're flying. Just people ain't on them. They still flying because they gotta go. They gotta move. They gotta move. So planes are still flying. They're flying. It's just people that are smart ain't going nowhere.
Like, on your taxes, right, in America, when people file their taxes, on average, do they have to file, like, say, what their expenses are as far as mortgage or rent and the bills and all of that stuff, or do they not? Is that stuff not available?
Well, what they usually do is most people file taxes the lazy way, and what I mean the lazy way is, and this is from my experience. And I'm just going to stop at about 2008 because that's the last time I filed taxes in the U.S. Um,
Right.
when I was there. So basically, the way it works is you get your W-2 if you work a regular job, and they basically tell you all the taxes that came out of your check. State and federal. I think for you that would be what, a province or
Yeah.
yeah,
Provincial.
yeah, provincial, right? So and then you got Social Security. And then whatever else, if you're paying into, I was in the military, so the medical came out and my life insurance for the military came out too. So when I got my W-2, I would file it. You check out the boxes because it's a form, it's a simple form. You check out the boxes and then you send it in. Now, a lot of people want their money now. So then what they do is they go to a tax service like Jackson Hewitt or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And
Here we have Softron.
yeah, so
I,
you get your
I
tax
even know
return
the
faster.
commercial song. The name to know to get you your dough with Softron tax. We're here. We're clear. We'll get you a break on your taxes. Yep, I know, because that's where I'm going. I want my money now.
Yeah,
I'm
you want
here
your
to
money
take
now,
some of it.
but a lot of times for you to put in all your expenses, because people don't know how taxes work. Taxes is basically showing that the income that they did not tax you on is going somewhere, right? So you get a certain percentage for bills. If you save your bills, your receipts, you go to an accountant and you can prove that you spend your money on light bill, water bill, gas bill, rent. Then you show, certain essentials like food, clothing, your car is transportation between to and from work, your car note, your insurance, your gas. You save those receipts and you save them up monthly. You bring them to an accountant. You show your kids in your household. You actually get more taxes back if you do it that way. Now, when you file these taxes, it's going to take longer, so you do it in the beginning of tax season. As soon as you get your W-2, bam, you go. Right?
Right.
Once you get your W-2, you gotta show like your savings accounts, if you got any investments, all of this stuff. Then, if you're doing head of the household because you make more money, or you follow separate or joint or however way you want to do it. If you went to the doctor, if your kids went, if you gave money to a charity, whatever you do. So if you go to church and you're giving an allotment to the church, that's taxable. That's a tax deduction. A lot of people don't take
Really?
advantage. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because it's a nonprofit organization. Churches can't keep money past the fiscal year. It has to go away. It's a nonprofit organization. They don't get taxed. So if you give money to like a church, then you turn around and give money. Say you take your clothes and give it away um, to like the Goodwill, and they can, and you can talk to them, and they can tell you, well, this is the estimated value of how this is. That's why the Goodwill sells stuff at a fraction of the cost because they're just selling it enough to keep the doors open to kind of pay the staff. Most of the staff is on volunteer work, but they get like a stipend, depending on the Goodwill, maybe every couple of months, every 3 months or quarterly or something like that, right? Because they have to go zero in the books. Period. They gotta put that in and whatever. So why you like a lot of these celebrities um when they have these charities that they put in their name is just a way for them to lower their tax bracket. They're helping people, but they're actually helping themselves too.
See, I knew if you donated to like a charity, that's a tax break. Like I knew that. I didn't realize that your own church,
Mm-hmm.
and your tithes and offering qualify. And I would be hard pressed probably to find anyone here
Mm-hmm.
that knows that.
Mm.
Which explains why our churches are so broke.
Yeah,
If you
yeah. Well, the other thing is the squandering of the money. But like, I didn't know that until my uncle owns a church, And when I got out the military, I was there, and he told everybody that was members of the church to come in the pastor study so he can give them um, their yearly. Um, it was like a yearly thing for their tithes, so they could put it on their taxes.
Mm,
So every
yes.
member of the church that paid their tithes, he made sure that he kept a record of it, and he gave them um, pretty much what they paid over that whole fiscal year, and they became a member of the
Hmm.
church, so they can write it off on their taxes.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's that part. I know you get a receipt for that. I
Hmm.
just don't think that. I'm sorry to say, but I don't think the West Indians here know what the hell that receipt's about. I think they just get it and go, "Oh, look how much I paid,"
Yeah, that's
and then
basically it. Yeah, yeah. But you
that's
can,
it.
but you can actually do it yourself because now because everything's electronic, it's easy to track everything. So if your tithes is paid through a bank account, it has to go to the church's bank account. So it's a routing number, and then they'll see it because the church is an actual business. It's a nonprofit, but it's a business, and it should have its own small business nonprofit um, tax number. Now this is the U.S. I
Right.
don't know about Canada. Things may be a little bit different. Um, but yeah, you can write that off on your taxes. Um, you can write off entertainment like Netflix, Hulu. Um, you know, that's entertainment. There's different percentages that will be tax deductible when you bring it to the accountant, and then they give you this is how businesses make money, right? At the end of tax season, like when like people get bonuses at the end of the year, like they
Hmm.
may get two bonuses. Some businesses give you two bonuses. They'll give you one in the summer and then one in the winter. Some
Right.
businesses give you one. Well, that means that they have an overage of profits and they'll be in a different tax bracket. So by giving employees bonuses, that counts as a tax write-off for the business. Like a trip, like they do a
Right.
business trip for the employees, or even a holiday party that they pay for, that's a tax deductible.
Right.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
So you
So
can,
then,
yeah.
generally, I mean, fine. So we've got the people who like don't know. They do the lazy version of taxes, right? But there's going to be a percentage of the population in every kind of socioeconomic class in every city, in every state, right? That is actually going to do this the right way. And so there's a good way of kind of estimating
Hmm.
what people's average costs are based on certain factors, like how many kids they are they single, do you live in a house or an apartment, what cities they live in. Because like it wouldn't make sense, right, to give $2,000 per person across the board, and say that that's justice or fair or whatever when people who are living in California, for example,
Hmm.
their property values and everything, their bills, their cost of living is much higher than other states, where some states are paying $300 for a mortgage on a massive house.
Yeah.
So, and that's the average. So I think that, I mean, they could probably bring that down significantly by just maybe analyzing, do a tiny bit of analysis,
Yeah.
and just kind of see, hey, listen, well, if we give people here who are five people homes, we give them $2,000, that's more than enough to cover them. We give these ones $5,000, it's more than enough to cover them without anyone dying or starving or whatever. And you might be able to bring down that ridiculous estimate. Because I think unless they bring that number down, it's not happening. Like
Yeah.
I just can't see America paying that much money out, coming off taxes or not. It's coming out of their bottom line right now, and right now their bottom line, everyone's bottom line is significantly hurt. Like I know, as living in Canada,
Hmm.
there's not a product that I can order from an American company right now, and I will get it anytime soon.
Of
And
course not.
there are companies like even the vape stores, right? Which are not going through like big government. They're just kind of ordering stuff direct, and you can't. Once the store runs out of something, if it's from an American producer, it's gone. Like
Yeah, it's
they're
gone.
still waiting on stuff because nothing's crossing the border, right?
Yeah.
So
Nothing's crossing the border. But the other thing is if you look at the news, right, and this is where I like to dig a little deeper. America has the money because let me put it like this. Um, Trump just made a thing where he defunded something for the UN, right? The
Right.
thing that he defunded, I think, was giving the UN $300 billion,
Ah,
right?
true.
If
Okay.
you stop foreign aid, which accounts yearly, total foreign aid from the U.S., we're talking about missiles, guns, food, shelter, people over there, infrastructure, whatever you're talking about. That is about $8 to $10 trillion.
True.
So if you
Okay.
stop giving money out and bringing it back in, because remember that's the American tax dollars. Remember, government is like a bank, right? They don't make any money. The only way they make money is off of taxes. They tax their people. So if you're taking that money and you're giving it back to your people, but then you're not giving it fully back to your people because this is going to go against their taxes. So everybody's taxes is either going to be little to non-existent next year, right? And that makes sense because if you're not working this year, then we can't really tax you. So we're like it's this weird thing, right?
Right.
Where we
Yeah.
tax you about how much you make, and if you're not making any money, and this is what happened, and yada yada. Now, the biggest thing about this is that we were on the verge globally on a recession anyway. So we were teetering on a recession anyway, right?
Yeah.
And this COVID thing made the world stop, but it also stopped going over the cliff. Now, a lot
Right.
of jobs will open up because people complain about not having jobs, but they don't want the jobs that are available. Like you said,
Oh yeah.
we need to vape. They're making it in America. If American producer doesn't have it, then we don't have it because it's not coming. So how many Canadians would want to slave away in a warehouse making vape for Ruby?
Right.
Not many, right? But you'll want to do it if you ain't got a job and you got to eat.
Yeah.
It's resetting the
Exactly.
balance of a lot of things. And because if you call customer service for anything, depending on what time of night, you're speaking to someone in like Asia somewhere, right? Like speaking to someone in some other country because there's no call centers. I remember when I grew up, other than working in like a fast food restaurant, you worked in a call center, right?
Yeah.
As a kid, right? That was your first part-time job, right? You sat there for 4 hours. They paid you like $10, $11 an hour, but you only was working for 4 hours. And then they would rotate. You know, um, some mom or something like that, she would work during the day when her kids were at school, right? Or an elderly person or someone that just retired, just needed something to do, but their retirement just wasn't enough and they wanted to get a second job, they work in a call center.
Yeah.
Now people don't want to do that anymore. They want a higher paying job. This thing also changed a lot of things because imagine all of those people going to college. You get out of college, going to college is pretty much a house loan with a high interest rate on it,
Yep.
right? Well, in America, right? And
Oh, everywhere.
everywhere,
Definitely here too.
right? And the sports teams that are in these colleges are making trillions of dollars. So why am I paying all this in tuition when you're making trillions of dollars from TV deals? You're not paying the athletes nothing, right? Okay, they get an education, but no one stays for 4 years. If they're any good, they leave. I'm not coming here to seeing Joe Blow at the bottom of the bench. He ain't never get on to get on the team. I'm here to see that guy, the number one draft pick, or the guy going, for whatever accolade that's going to be in the top 2 rounds of the draft. That's who I'm here to see. You're not paying this guy. You're making all this money. Then the guy going to leave because he's risking his future because he didn't come to college for that. Now, if college was about academics, which it's not, and the colleges that are, they don't cost that much. Do you know that the tuition for Harvard and Yale is a quarter of the price for the University of Miami?
Seriously?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
I thought the Ivies were way more expensive.
They used to be way more expensive. And that's because only the rich went there. But they found out over the years, like, think about it. The smartest minds that came out of Harvard, Yale, and all of these prestigious institutes, they didn't come up being like after World War II, they didn't come up being rich. They actually came up from poor founders. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
So, before that, it was the rich people because of the minds, and you couldn't read, and you know how society works. But if you think about it, people go to college, like they got this big thing now about people paying for their kids. You heard about the actresses?
Oh yeah, to get in the admissions scandals. Yeah.
That's been going on forever. Like why? Okay, rich people been paying to get their kids into positions, and listen, you telling me, right? My kid's rich. I'm rich. My kid's rich. My kid doesn't need to be a genius in science. Because when you go to college, it's only there to teach you to work for somebody else. Even if you go to business school, it does not teach you to run a business on your own. It only teaches you to run a business for somebody else.
True.
Don't teach you
If you think about it, most of these rich people, they might have Harvard degrees and stuff like that, but go back and check their GPA everywhere. Are they really that intelligent? Did they get into the Ivies over their personal brilliance? Honestly, no, of course not. It was all money. Money, the title of the private school they went to, that was a guaranteed in, so on and so forth, right? That privilege gives you an in everywhere you are.
Exactly. And see, this is why and this is why I say times have changed, and this is why I wanted to talk about this in a different area, right? Is that think about all these kids that are running around, going to college, being sold the quote unquote, what Cerulean says, the trick bag, right? And you look at this guy on screen, Mr. Tekashi here, right? And look at him. He's 24 years old. Did he go to college? I didn't see him in the yearbooks with that stuff on his face. Right? Yeah. But look at him. Everybody knows who he is. Whether you like him or not, everybody knows who he is. Like, even people with tattoos know that once you put a tattoo on your face, it's over. I have tattoos. I just don't. I got them in a certain place that if I roll up my sleeves, you can't see them. Plus, I'm dark. You got to be like really up on me to see it. But if I didn't tell anybody I have tattoos, they wouldn't know. Like, if I took my shirt off or whatever. But he got them on his face. He's pretty much in that lane for the rest of his life. And The only people that would have tattoos on their face when we were growing up was like people you would deem really crazy.
Yep.
You know, now it's a
Not
normal.
lying.
Yeah, like Amber Rose got a tattoo across her forehead.
It's just ridiculous. No one can tell me that that's not the most ridiculous thing they've ever heard of in their entire lives. That Amber Rose has a tattoo on her pretty little slutty little forehead. Come on now. Like, no. I refuse to validate that in any way, shape, or form.
Uh, let's give Kanye West a round of applause for being the thought maker. For real, right? Yeah. Did what we know about Amber Rose if she wasn't dating Kanye?
True.
There we go.
Sad but true.
Sad but true.
I mean, I don't know. She's just the kind of person though. Like, it wasn't Kanye. It was the other way around, right? Like she positioned herself with the right man at the right time.
At the right
If
time.
it wasn't Kanye, it would have been the next one. You know, like
Yeah, yeah. And I think now I do say Kanye was smart because he didn't have kids with him.
yeah,
Yeah, he was
so
smart.
true.
He was smart about that. And you know, and this is where people where people confuse genius and intelligence a lot of times, right? Being a genius doesn't mean you're intelligent. And being intelligent
True.
doesn't mean you're a genius.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. They do mean different things. It's just like, you know, being smart. You know, like when you think about being wise or being smart, and being intelligent. Those are all different facets of existence, basically, right? You have people who are dead ass illiterate, never read a book in their lives, who have more wisdom than you'll have at 50 in your baby finger, right? It's just the way that they learn, how they read the world, how they were able to assimilate all of that information, man. They've been living by the 48 laws of power. They don't even know that book exists. You know what I mean? Like there are people who are really like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, are they, could you call them book smart? You know, that they don't possess that kind of intelligence.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that what they do possess is any less valuable.
Exactly. Because let's just if you would take Takashi out, right, and let's replace him with someone else. Mm, would he been able to do would another person in this situation be able to pull off what he did? But let's just take out the snitching part. Let's just taking something that would ruin quote unquote your career. Remember, he said for 2 years people was making memes. I saw them memes. Those were some of the best memes on the internet. I'm like every day there was a Takashi meme on anything, right?
Yeah.
He was in jail for 2 years, whatever. He gets out and he puts a video out. He puts a video out. Now, not only that, he's getting paid off of IG with 1.7 million people watching him.
You know why he's smart? Because he said, if I was you, I'd be pissed off that all this is happening to you. I'd be pissed off I was out. I would be pissed off I snitched. I'd be pissed off that I could come out and still make money. I'd be pissed off at all of it. I don't even blame you. You hate me? Don't worry. I would hate you too. I would hate me too.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
And that really tells you who was really paying to go to his concerts, who really supports him. It's not it's not us. The
No.
the generation that grew up in hip hop when hip hop was an urban black thing, right? Hip hop is now a industry controlled by suburbia and the other side. It's already crossed over. It's become a major genre of music.
Yep.
more than what we realize, and he's just showing you. And when something becomes a major genre of music, the rules that were laid forth are already broken. It's a wrap. So white people snitch on each other all the time, right?
Yep.
White people snitch on each other all the time. Like they don't got no hood code. They don't have any hood code at all. They'll get up on that. They'll get up on that witness stand. Like it's, in America, it's against the law for a wife to testify against her husband.
Yes.
It's against the law. You can't make her do it. But why does the wife still gets up there and testifies against her husband?
Right.
Because it's in her best benefit to, because if she divorces him, then she can testify, then she gets immunity against anything that she was knowingly a part of or help with, because it was like she was like coerced into doing it. Then what happens is she can sue him, and then not only will she get half, but she gets control over his estate and everything because he's in
Yeah.
jail.
Yeah. Actually smart though too. And we gotta recognize, like, if your husband, right? Like, and I'm being real,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm one of those ride or die down ass chicks. Like, I put up with a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, if my husband got arrested and it was for, like, I don't know, murdering several women and raping them and, doing a bunch of stuff to their corpse, crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can think back to times, all of those dates, yeah, he wasn't home and he came home with some shoddy story, or he was in a kind of mood, or, I started seeing some scary stuff. I would rat him out. I'm not going to lie. Why? Because now I'm scared of him. So the last thing I want is for him to ever get out of prison. Like, I want to be able to now leave him, but now I'm scared that if I leave him and he's out of prison, he's going to do to me what he did to those women. See, this is, and police are smart, because even if you don't start off where I start off, you're not honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they put in your head, right?
Of course.
Like, that's a fair point. You really want a man like that around you and your kids?
Well, you got to think about it like this, right? Okay, like people talk about the double standard, right? If a woman snitches, women and children, even if they are in the hood, they do not have to abide by the honor code. The honor code is only set for men. It's not for women. Never has been. Right? If a woman follows by that code, okay, good on her. But no one is faulting a woman for snitching. Period. That's, no one, even what most men do most of the time is they'll even just admit to everything and say, leave my wife out of it.
Yeah.
Because, and it's better to leave her out of it so she won't be pressured to snitch. So at least he has some backup, right? Why he's in. So he can, some ray of hope or whatever, right? So there's that different economy. This is an honor code between men, but how does an honor code work? You have to be able to institute that honor code whenever possible. And is Tekashi the first person to ever snitch? No. Is Tekashi the last person to ever snitch? No. Is Tekashi the first person that we ever heard of to snitch to come out on top? No, he isn't. How do you think Napoleon Bonaparte got taken out in Waterloo? Because his officer in command snitched him out.
Okay.
See, whenever you're going to, like they say this old saying, whenever you're going to siege the castle, the best way to siege a castle is from the inside out. Um, Genghis Khan would, like, if he was going to siege a castle, right? He would camp outside the castle for like 3 to 6 months. He would have a party out there. He would be partying every day. They wouldn't even attack the castle.
Okay.
But how did he siege it? He would tell them every day, y'all can eat, y'all can do whatever if y'all just surrender. Now, the first
Right.
month, ain't nobody doing all that because they got provisions. But guess what? The provisions got to get to you. But Genghis Khan did not come there with provisions. He's actually stealing your supply lines and actually partying with your food. And the people that are in the castle are rich, they're servants, right? The people that's outside the castle, if you see your countrymen consorting with the enemy, but they're eating better than they've ever eaten and doing all this other stuff, and they have family members that are inside the castle, when them guards go to sleep, guess who's going to open that castle door where they go marching in? Guess who's going to be killing the lords and the mistresses in the castle?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you do anything. And what Takashi did in this situation was the only play that he had. Do I agree with it? No. Do I understand why he did it? Because there was no way um, for him to feel safe outside. He was never a part of them. He was just a tool, just like he was with
Right.
them. And
Yeah.
this is why you got to be careful of how you treat certain people, because I always live by this law: be careful who you may offend,
Mm.
because you never know. You never know what people are capable of when their back is against the wall. You never know,
But see, I do agree, and the thing is, I wouldn't talk to the police in general. That's my
man. Yeah,
belief system. Like, you don't call the police for like anything.
nothing,
Um,
nothing.
but for anything, like,
Either.
just you don't. Um, but here's my issue with this one:
Mm-hmm.
is, he didn't snitch first and then find out all of this stuff that these people had been doing to him and had done to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
He found out first. And at that point, what he realized, right? Because again, he's not a real G. He's not from someplace, and this is someone else's neighborhood or whatever. This is the only clique he has, and that he knows.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who turned on him.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have another recourse. When you take away all the recourse, there's only one thing to do. And if someone is trying to kill me and my family, right?
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do? Am I going to just sit there and over hood honor? I'm not going to do nothing about it and just let them come and kill my family, rape my wife, no. No one's going to do that. Especially, again, like, I really do not believe that he was born and raised under like hood honor. I don't
No,
believe he
no,
was
no.
born and raised in something like that. Like, I think he was just some middle class dude, like, being wild and stupid with the tattoos on his face and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so you gave him no other recourse. What is he? He's scared now.
Yeah.
You're gonna kill him. And,
Mm-hmm.
and the people he's supposed to be able to turn to when the streets get vicious and violent are the people who turned on him. Well, what would you do?
Yeah.
Would you let them kill you and your family? Or would you do what you can to protect you and your family, even if it makes you look like a little bitch?
And to be honest, like, I think the thing, and he said something. Um, y'all understand, but y'all don't want to understand,
Yeah.
because if a lot of people that was in his situation, they wouldn't have had to show him the wiretaps of them setting it up where he got kidnapped and beat up,
Yeah.
or that they was messing with his baby moms while he was on tour, or the millions of dollars that they stole from him. Why he was giving them money to help them up, and then they were still stealing from him, right? Or they put a hit out to kill him and kidnap his put a hit out on him. His own people did this.
Right.
And they tried to make it look like it was somebody else that did it to keep him roped in, right? He didn't know about this, but it probably took several interrogations to get to that point where he had people probably that doubled down and told him or whatever a lot of times. And so he did what he did. Now, what this is going to do is now it's going to set a precedent that the next rainbow headed kid that comes out, he doesn't need to have the street validation. The rap code has went out the window.
Yep.
The street code is no longer available for rap music no more. Actually, it does you no good to even be involved in any of the streets anyway.
True.
It doesn't. Because it's going to lead you either going to jail or dead, or a combination of the two. If you look at the people that went to jail, look at T.I. went to jail. Look at Wayne. As rich as he is, right? He got locked up because they said they found some drugs on his private jet. Right? Did the drugs belong to him? Yeah, maybe. So, maybe not. He goes to jail because he's the biggest name. Now, Wayne grew up in the streets, but guess what? He went to jail. He got out of jail. Went to jail several times. When they was talking about the gun charges in New York, right? He didn't have the guns on him. His people had guns on him. He went to jail. He went to jail, didn't say nothing. But what his peoples were supposed to do is they were supposed to jump on a sword for him. No, that's my gun. I do the time. I do this, that, and the third. But the problem is he knew his people wasn't protected in jail because he didn't have any type of backup in jail.
Right.
Where they were at. If they was in Louisiana, it's probably countless people went to jail for Wayne and Baby. But now you're outside of there, you don't have that pull. He don't even live in Louisiana like that no more. So, but then after that, you don't hear anything. You don't, as much as 50 mess with people, 50 don't go to jail.
True.
You don't see nobody affiliated with any street life in 50 Cent's inner circle. Mm-hmm. And the biggest gangster of them all is Puffy.
Yeah, Puffy's something else.
Yeah, Puffy's the biggest gangster of them all. People thought it was Suge Knight. Nah, it's Puffy. Puffy. Biggest gangster you ever see. But in their inner circle, you can't even associate them with anything in the street, even though Puffy can walk on the middle of the block anywhere in any hood in America and nobody would dare touch him. Mm-hmm. And that shows value. Oh, what?
But I was gonna say, like, see, this is the thing, though. When you look at all what I'm gonna consider our generations of stars, right? So the mm-hmm. people who, you know, we were older kids to teenagers, and this was our music. They were real, right? They were actually rapping about lives they had lived, stuff that they knew, things that they had.
Oops. Oh. Okay,
their career was one thing, and street life was another. And they're going to handle stuff the way they need to handle stuff. And that was both women and men, mm-hmm. right? Got a lot of women in the industry who went to jail, got a lot of men in the industry that were going to jail. Because even though they were in the public eye, they're like, oh, this stuff didn't make them soft or make them start handling things differently. Well, I'll call the police because this happened. That
Yeah.
didn't happen, right? They kept up that integrity and that honor code of the streets regardless of anything. So that's a different generation of music and musicians and realness. Like gangster rap came out, and the thing is this is why I got to be careful when I have these discussions with people where I say like, no, it's not fair for you to talk about, oh, gangster rap is just there to glamorize gangs and whatever. Well, it wasn't initially,
No, I
but you
wouldn't.
could feel that difference. The lyrics, even the lyrics where they were hardcore. You're like, oh, that's sick, that's cold. You still understood that was like, that's some real shit, man. You don't really want to be in that.
No, you
This is
don't.
something you want to aspire to in life. You know
No.
what I mean? I want to be that cool. That's it, it's, even though you were a kid, so yeah, you're gonna start mimicking stuff and whatever. But like the way that things are now, people are just talking about stuff they've never seen, they've never
Hmm.
been a part of,
Yep.
they've never even heard a real person tell them that story before. Just making shit up that sounds hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's an entirely different mindset. And so in essence there is no more, unless maybe you're going underground or going to the old school people, there's no real like, that rap is over.
Oh
The
yeah.
rap game is over as it used to exist and as we understood it.
Exactly. And gangster, like if you really take apart gangster rapping, like you said, it was them telling you it was a peek into urban life of what they dealt with or what they were doing, right? Or what they were a part of. I would say I would say rap started changing when the death of Biggie and Tupac,
Yeah.
right? It started changing, and people they started getting in the industry that were proxies, and I mean they weren't necessarily in the drug game. They were just proxies of people that were in it. Now, people talking about the Waynes and the big timers, I'm talking about Cash Money and Master P. Well, they were already out. We talking about 96, 97. They were already making their rounds. The Little John and all of that stuff down in Georgia and all that. So by the time everybody heard about them, they were already making their moves 5 years prior in their areas and stuff. So when the 2000s came around, that's when you start getting the little Zanes, and you start getting all these like Nelly, right?
Hmm.
Listen to Nelly's albums. He don't talk about no drugs whatsoever, because he
No.
ain't never sold a drug in his life, and he'll tell you that. He'll tell you
Hmm.
that. He made dance music. Tell you that straight off. Never sold no drugs, no nothing. It was dance music. That's all it was. If you look at Luda,
Right.
Ludacris was a DJ in Chicago. He was a radio personality. Never sold any drugs. He was affiliated, stuff like that. You look at Outkast, they ain't never sold no drugs, but because it was a family thing, they talked about it. They went to college. They graduated from college. They don't talk about it.
Mm.
If you really look
Really?
at, yeah, they Andre 3000 ain't never sold a drug a day in his life.
I mean, that much I knew. I knew they weren't badasses or anything.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know that they had that higher education.
yeah. They went to college. They met in college because Andre has I think a doctorate in music or something like that. Like he had a scholarship to college for music and stuff. He can play multiple instruments. Um,
Wow.
yeah. So they went to college. Like they even said if you listen to their albums, um, you know what I'm saying, about them rapping, them meeting on the college campus in the summer and they got together. If you look at their personalities and look at how they move, they wouldn't never clicked unless they met in a neutral environment. So
Hmm.
you look at a lot of the gangster rap and all of that stuff. Even Jay-Z, after I think the Sean Carter album, he switched up. He's
Yeah.
he crossed over. He started rapping about other stuff, making you think, understanding certain things. The Black album was probably one of his best albums. Um, but you look at DMX, that's all he rapped about, right? Look at him now, right? Look at him now, right? You like I listen to Redman. I like Redman a lot. Listen to all his albums, but all of his albums, there was some stuff about where he grew up and stuff, but it was like a movie, but it was like comedy. It was comedy. He's
Mm,
he's a comedic rapper. You know what I'm saying? If
right.
if you but he grew up in the hood. He sold drugs. Everybody knew who he was. But he still got houses in the hood. He still raps. Not a problem, right? You look at these, I say the other thing that has changed is whenever you did your dirt, you didn't have it on IG. You didn't put it on social media and you didn't snitch on yourself. So a lot of these things are open and shut cases, right? Because
Yeah.
people have phones and they have the internet. So in real time, like the baby, right? He was coming off the thing and some girl put her phone in his face, right?
Mm,
And he backed
mm,
up and was like, hey, and she shoved it in his face again and hit him with it. And out of reflex, he pimp smacked her.
yeah.
Mm. Now, he don't know that's a woman. Cause only thing, if somebody shine a light in your face in a dark place, you can't see who's on the other end of that light.
Right.
The only thing you know is I pushed it out of my face. It got put back in my face. So, and I got hit with it. So I got assaulted. So I need to pimp smack somebody.
Yeah.
And he pimp smacked her. Now, baby come from the hood because that's a hood reaction,
Hmm.
right? But everybody saw it. And people was on his side, but he still had to apologize because you're in a different era now, right? Your
Right.
hood logic does not matter anymore.
No, and
Hmm? Oh, I think you went out, Ruby. Oh, I think the Discord gods got you. Oh, I think they got Ruby. Ruby wanted to come back in. Might have to go out and come back in. Hold on, Ruby. Green. Yeah. So let me go through these comments. Doc Man Jeff. I'm sorry, y'all. We was in here talking. Let me look at this chat real quick. Okay, I haven't got a substantial refund check since 2009. Did everyone get their first stimulus check? Ruby said, I know my fam in America all got their stimulus checks. Big tax write off. That's right. Those pro basketball ball players that hold basketball camps, yeah, they do too. Yeah. And it's also a scouting thing, also. They're actually scouting because their agents are there. So those things are actually held as a scouting thing for the agents to see who's got potential so they can follow them through. So with the AAU league. Let me see. And Chaos, this Rainbow Freak, Takashi, what I missed. Oh, yeah, missed a little bit. Missed somewhat of a lot. I'm going to wait for Ruby to come back in. Hold on one second, y'all.
hello. Can you hear me?
Hello? Oh,
Oh, there we go.
yeah, there we go. All right. So, yeah, it is. Yeah, these. I'm like, that's why I say times have changed from when we've seen things and perceived things, because of media. Like people put a lot of their business out all the time. They're like snitching on each other, on themselves all the time. Like reality television has basically instituted snitching. And people don't realize that reality TV is actually scripted.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's a sad thing, right? Our gangster rap is scripted now. Reality television is scripted. Every damn thing is scripted, and you're thinking that, oh no, this is how people that you want to be like and have lives that you wish you were living. This is what it really is. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Like like people like, when Drake came in and people like, yeah, Drake is hard. I was like, dude, how gangster you gonna be being on the Disney Channel? Come on, this is Walt
Drake
Disney we
was
talking about.
My husband knew Drake
Hmm.
before Drake was like big. He was on Degrassi, but he wasn't like a rapper yet.
Yeah.
Um, and he was like a nerd in the corner kind of thing. No one really talked to him, right? Like, I'm not gonna say that my husband and his boys were like the hardest of hard, but they're up to some stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like he kind of cowered in the corner over there, waiting for his girl to finish talking to everyone, right? Like he was not about that life, and he definitely wasn't one of the boys, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have been in his own circles. I don't know, but like again, going by my husband's description, because I wasn't there. It was a long time ago. It was like he was scared. Scared. Well, this is just real, guys. Real stuff. I don't want to get hurt. I'm gonna stay over here.
Yeah, it's
Leave me
like
alone.
a safari, right? It's like those are the real animals, right? It's all cool watching lions and tigers and hyenas and stuff, and you know, and and seeing them in the zoo. And it's different when you're in a Land Rover in the savannah and they're coming up to the door. The only thing that protects you from getting eaten and snatched out of there is this little piece of steel. Maybe, if it's steel. Because,
Hopefully.
yeah, because if that lion had opposable thumbs, you'd be snatched up out of there. That's why they don't do safaris in the jungle so the gorillas would be there. Because they'll just open the door and snatch you up out of there.
Right.
You know? And they make sure they go in the middle of the day where the lions are chilling. They ain't
Well,
gonna
of
go in
course.
the evening where they actually hunt.
Make sure they're well fed first.
Yep.
You don't
Yep.
want to see a hungry lion.
You don't you don't want to see a hungry hyena, you know. And the thing that kill people the most are hippos and black water buffaloes. Like, it's when you like being in that lifestyle is not a good thing. Like I was in that lifestyle when I was able to get out of that lifestyle. I don't want to go back to that lifestyle. There's nothing. Okay, if you go to work and your boss doesn't pay you, you can sue. You can quit
Right.
your job. You can get
Why?
unemployment. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
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 You on the streets and the dude don't pay you.
What are you gonna do?
You better be good. You better get some guns. Is you better get some guns. You can complain, man. That dude didn't pay me. Man, that's messed up. Yeah, man, I can't make my rent. That's on you, cause he punked you. So what you gonna do about it?
Yeah. And then the scary part about that is from there, let's say you don't do anything about it because you decide your entire life isn't worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you now are screwed because everyone knows they can punk you and you're not gonna do anything about it.
So you're forced to do something about it, and you can't
Yeah.
do it in silence. This ain't no Game of Thrones type of thing. You gotta go out there and make an example out of them in front of everybody. And you got to do it in such a way where, like, for the level of you getting punked, you have to punk him in such a way that he can't retaliate.
Yep.
And the many times that he can't retaliate is through death.
Pretty much.
Because
And
dead
then
men
there
can't
you go.
retaliate. And
And,
and
and, and that's the whole thing. Either you die or he dies now because he decided to punk you off of, I don't know, maybe $1,000. So now you're both of you decided in that moment, right? What he did, he decided his life was possibly worth $1,000, and you decided your life was worth $1,000.
yep.
It's like that. What's it called? The show, the cartoon show you were showing me, where it was like
Oh, the
hey,
Boondocks?
wait a minute, I'm white. Yeah, the Boondocks.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I'm white.
Was it Dante S? And you don't want a rep of not being able to collect. Yeah. Yep. You're right. You're right. Like
I'm
it,
just
it,
like, wait a minute,
it
I'm white. I could just turn around and walk away and not risk my life for $5.
exactly.
Right.
And that's why I said like it, like 1.5 million people just told you that your hood honor system is actually the wrong way to go about life.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that are in jail that haven't committed a crime that fell on the sword willingly because not snitching was what was they supposed to do.
Hmm. And you know what? What I would add to that, and I think it's something that Takashi was alluding to when he said it, right? Is like, well, you've been living your whole life like this is how it's supposed to, and otherwise you don't win. And it's like basically what he's saying is, yeah, I understand why you're pissed off because you've been used and kind of like screwed with and sacrificed probably years of your life in jail, stuff like that over this concept that you are now finding out because of me standing here is not valid anymore in this day and age. Maybe you just copped your plea yesterday, maybe whatever, and you thought that this was the only way to go, and now my life and what I just did just proved to you that it's all bullshit now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not only do you escape with your life, but you get rich off of it. So how
Yep,
many people gonna follow his footsteps? We,
I would.
listen, we thought like see the Olympics is every 4 years. You know how we say snitching is an Olympic sport. No, snitching is going to be NFL and NBA season and baseball season. It's all year round now.
Yep.
He just proved it.
He just proved it. But I can't remember whether it was Abba or Preach who brought up the point that like he knew from the time someone was freely admitted that they didn't write their own lyrics and the world was fine with this.
Yeah, I think it was
So who
Drake.
cares? They were justifying it.
Yeah, it was Drake.
Right.
It was Drake.
It was
And
Drake.
this is see here's the thing, right? Other than any rapper that makes the Billboard, like except for like I would say a slight few. And when I mean the Billboard Top 100, if they got a crossover song, they don't necessarily write their own lyrics. I've sat in recording sessions and then the rapper would come out and he was like, man, I'm rapping this. Man, that don't sound right. And everybody in there, yo, how about you say it like this? Yo, you right. Let me get that. Go back in there and go ahead and say what he needs to say, right? In every genre of music, that's okay. Because there's a difference between writing and producing. Rappers Like people don't realize rappers get the least amount of royalties because they're just like Adele. A lot of her songs she did not write. Beyonce's top three albums were written by Neo. That Irreplaceable song was written by Neo.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep, written
And
by
that's
Neo.
just fine now.
See, no one cares because that's a normal thing. Like Michael Jackson wrote a lot of his lyrics, but he didn't make none of his music because he couldn't play a damn instrument. But who's more critically acclaimed? Michael Jackson because he was a better showman, yada yada. Prince wrote
Right.
all his music. Matter of fact, he wrote music for other people.
Other people. Yeah.
And he could play damn near every instrument you can think of by himself with no help.
And yet,
And yet, the person that is known is the person that didn't write the music or or whatever. And lyrics are nothing without the harmonies and the instruments to go with them. You can sit there and listen to an instrumental all day. I'll prove it to
yeah.
you. Watch a movie.
Yeah. And you know what is amazing too? Because I mean, we think about this, right? And we're like, I think almost like we give it a pass if it's someone like Prince, right? Because we're like, well, Prince. Well, of course you would sing a song. Prince wrote it for you, right? So it's fine.
Yeah.
We don't realize. I remember there was a girl on American Idol.
Hmm.
Little, I'm going to say little known because a lot of people probably don't remember her. I remembered her because I liked her. I liked her voice. And her name was Tamira Gray.
Hmm.
And her own singing career didn't blow up, but she ended up writing for several famous people, like big names, even though she's basically a nobody,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, almost immediately after coming off of Idol, within the next couple of years, she was on several people's albums. And she didn't sing with them; she wrote their songs, right? So I mean, this has been happening since the dawn of time. Now, if you've been killing yourself out there trying to keep it real, you write all your music, blah blah blah, right? And then you find out, oh wait a minute, it doesn't actually matter. It never did.
Never did. Never did.
Never mattered, right? So then why did they tell you your whole life that it did? Well, that's simple because it keeps you in line and it keeps them rich and famous and you struggling.
Exactly. Like it's like people don't realize name no one can name a original rap composition like a beat. You can't because they're all remixes from known songs. All the California songs, like when Doc, you can tell when it's a California song, right? Like if Dr. Dre produced it or West Coast, they all got that sound to them,
Yeah,
but they
gotcha.
all come from old music, that old P Funk, African Boombata, Funkadelic, soul music. They all come from that. They just change the octaves on it, and that's it, right? Even Dr. Dre said it, right? Timberland does the same thing. Missy Elliott, she gets most of her music comes from house music, right? And that house music comes from a derivative of mixing down beats and just dancing to it, right? Rap originated from break beats, which they would call from house, disco, anything that you can get your hands on. You put that down, slow it down so somebody can rap over it. A rapper used to be called an MC. Before, people came to see the DJs, but that was boring, right? A lot of DJs couldn't really talk.
Mm,
Let's look at
true.
the first Grammy Award winning rap artists, rap duo was Will Smith um, and DJ Jazzy Jeff. Okay. So if you look at that, Jazzy Jeff had another guy that was supposed to come and MC the house party. He called Will because the other guy flaked out on him. And the rest is history. Yeah. That's what happened. Jazzy Jeff said it, right? He said it. He said that's how him and Will Smith got together. Now, I met Jazzy Jeff. He's not a talkative guy. He's an introvert. His DJ skills are ridiculous. But you get somebody
Really?
like Will Smith. Yeah, he's not a talkative
I
dude.
kind of thought it was like typecasted, like his character
Nope.
on Fresh Prince.
No,
Yeah,
no, that's
Oh.
that's who he is. He's a very now him acting stupid. That's typecasted. He's very intelligent, very smart, but he's very serious. He's Will Smith is more of the jokey type. So they work out because the both of them are, you know, doing, I mean, they balance each other's out. Now, was Will Smith a thug? Nope. Right? Because that Fresh Prince of Bel Air show was actually about his life. That actually what happened to him. So he was not that guy. If you listen to his albums, he never cursed in none of his albums. Ever. Never cursed. At all. And he did it purposely because he felt that he could do that without cursing, but everybody loved his albums. So you have this dynamic. Now, what we going into is that you got rappers wearing dresses and they still thugs. Look at Young Thug, whole dress, right?
So weird.
But he wore
It's
it.
just so weird.
He wore it. He wore it. But people can say what they want. But is anybody going to run up on Young Thug? And
Definitely.
you wore a dress. You ain't going to make it out alive. So the whole dynamic, like think about it. Alexander the Great was a conqueror, but he was a part of the alphabet community.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a part of the alphabet community. It's a known fact. Yeah, he was bisexual. Went both ways, openly.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Makes sense though.
Known fact.
Right? Just giving their history a little bit.
Yeah. But he's the most sought after military general. Even military tactics today are taken from what he does. They have a whole military college dedicated with a subject matter into his great feats of how taking a small regiment to take down a multitude of enemies when you're outnumbered and outgunned, right? They still do it today, right? You get into a phalanx formation, hunker down like a turtle shell, cover, conserve your ammo, funnel your enemies, distract, dismay, do all of that stuff, right? People have been doing this throughout history. Now, but in this day, and when I was growing up, if Alexander the Great was to come around and they was to say that he was a part of the alphabet community, people would think he's soft, right? Now, when I grew up, you didn't get in a fight with nobody from the alphabet community because they can throw them hands because they've been fighting ever since they was little, just because of their lifestyle, right? If someone in the black community that was openly like that, they earn their stripes to be openly like that. Hey man, you don't mess with him unless you want to get. And the worst thing you can have is getting beat down as a man by a person from the alphabet community. Like there's just like a woman beating you down. Even though it's still a man, like you forgot this is still a man. You know, I'm
Yeah.
talking more on the men's side of things, right? You forgot this is still a man. That's it.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
That's why
Like,
I wanted my. I'm telling you, watching True Blood, all I wanted in life was a gay BFF like Lafayette.
yeah,
On these weak ass ones. I want one that he about his he wants his earrings and makeup and all that stuff. Y'all girly and purse. Yeah, fuck with him for half a second,
Mhm.
bro. He will fuck you up,
Oh
and then
yes,
go back to putting on his earrings.
yeah, yeah. You dealing with something terrible. Like it's like you know, but you know what I'm saying. I had people I was cool with that was because where I grew up at, it's a small community in Baltimore, but you don't mess with them. You leave them alone. That's them. You know what I mean? But times have changed. They didn't push their lifestyle onto you, right? It was like you leave them alone and treat them like regular folk. That's all they wanted. Now times
Right.
have changed where you're getting this forced acceptance, right? Um, I don't have to accept your lifestyle, but I can still respect you, right? And accepting your lifestyle doesn't denigrate your lifestyle in no shape, way, or form. It's just that's something I don't choose to practice. Like I'm not a Muslim. That don't mean I disrespect Muslims.
Right.
That's the way I look at it, right? Because, you know, okay, I was born this way. Okay, fine. That's cool. You were born that way. I was born my way. How you doing? I'm such and such. Well, you have to respect. Dude, I already respected you by not disrespecting you.
Right.
Like, I don't need, hey, I'm such and such and I'm gay. Whoa, wait a minute. What do you do for a living? Like,
Yeah.
can we get an introduction? Like, hey, I'm such and such. Before I need to know what your mating choices are or lack of reproductive choices are, um, I don't care if you identify yourself as a toaster. I don't care. It doesn't bother me whatsoever, right? It's not hurting me. Okay, I need to depict you a certain way. Okay, does there need to be gay people shown because this is a part of life and they do exist, just like there's black people, just like there's people that are Latino, just like anything else. But I can't be showing every 5 minutes me slobbing down a woman, and I can't show that on the same end either. And what I realize is the older people in that community, they don't like it either, but they can't come out and say it because they have to show unity and unify because it took so long to get to this point, right? And power is like a drug, right? You get it, you finally stick it to it. When you first got in your own house, and you start doing things that you were taught to do when you were
Yeah.
younger in your house, and you stop one day. This is my house. I do what I want. If I want to let the
But you
dishes.
know what though, I'll say also
Mm-hmm.
it's the same thing as any other group, right? Like people don't care that the majority of black folk are not sitting there and promoting black on black crime and black on black murder. They don't care. Right? They don't care what else we are promoting. A, because we're quieter, like as in we're less in your face, less whatever. Those of us who just want to live, survive, thrive, just have families, have businesses, be married,
Mm-hmm.
right? We aren't the loud part of the population. We're not the part that everyone is listening to or watching, right? So
Yeah.
then get this warped concept that, the bottom 10% of us is all of us, which is not the case. And I think that, you get the exact same effect there, right? Where
Yeah.
by and large, regardless of which letter that they fall under, they most of them just want to live their lives,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Do they want a little bit of adequate representation in media so that way people don't look at them like freaks for just going to the grocery store together or whatever? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this excessiveness. Most of them are not happy with, and they do speak out about, but they're not the loud ones, right? They're not the ones everyone's listening to and paying attention to because they're not willing to make themselves a public spectacle, to get attention, which is really what it is, just to get attention, right?
Yeah,
Attention whores ruin it for everybody. Always the case.
exactly, exactly. You know how they say the squeaky wheel gets the most oil and all this other stuff, and it's 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 understandable. You know, it's their time in the sun, and they finally get their rightful due where people are seeing their problems. And there's a lot of people that are identifying with them because they want to be a part of a group of power, right? A lot of them don't even practice the lifestyle. They just,
Well, I was going to
yeah,
say, I'm going to disagree that the majority of the people who have been fighting for a long time
hmm
and living for a long time in this group of people are not doing this, right? It's young
hmm
people.
hmm
It's young people, like you said, half of them. I mean, goddamn! After I kissed a girl and I liked it, suddenly every girl's bi-curious and bisexual. It's not real. It's not the
hmm
real people. It's a bunch of young people under the age of 30 for sure,
yeah,
who have been irrelevant and invisible their whole lives, and now they
yes,
want to suddenly be relevant and visible, and they want to be rebellious and push the limits without actually getting screwed over. And this is the new trend that they can do it with.
yeah, because,
Just like being black not
hmm
that long ago was it, right?
oh
That's
yeah, I
everyone
remember that.
suddenly is a thug.
I remember that. I remember. I mean, I used to, when I was young, when talk shows used to come on, right? We was sitting in the house, you know, like Sally Jeffrey Raphael and Donahue. They used to have these kids up there, right? You know, with the baggy pants,
Hmm.
with all the goth on, with the makeup, with the multicolored hair, and trench coats in the summertime and stuff like that. And I remember that kind of cut out when that Columbine High School shooting went down, right?
Yes.
That cut
Yeah.
out real quick, right? And then I started seeing the rise of the ambiguous, right? You know, and with the alphabet community and stuff like that until it came in its full fruition, right? But then it was the nerd culture, right? The nerds already been there, but as technology rose, people wanted to be nerds all of a sudden. But to be a nerd, you have to be somewhat intelligent. Then I started
Right.
seeing nerds troll other nerds, calling them posers and all this other stuff. And then now to identify as being gay or in that community gives you some power, which a kind of a lot of those people that fought for these rights and really care. It's like second and third wave feminism, right?
Hmm.
The second wave feminists can't stand the third wave feminists because
Exactly.
a lot of the second wave feminists are married. They believe in the sanctity of marriage. There are things that women can't do. They just want equal rights. No, I can't go out there and lift all of that. Like I'm
Right.
not a man, and he can't carry a child for 9 months because he's not a woman. But I just want the equal rights of being able to go for a job or access to education and things of this
Or to
nature,
vote.
or to vote and stuff like that. Just basic human rights, right? What they want
Yeah.
is over. It's just like you gave a toddler an AK-47.
Yeah. And that's what it is. Because again, like you said, go look for old feminists that have been feminists since birth and they're now 65. They don't they don't look at any of this foolishness that third and fourth wave feminism are doing and go, yeah, right on, sister. That's why you don't see any of them, right? But you're seeing all these again, under 30, you know, making all this stupid noise about movements and people and politics that they don't even understand because it's not about any of that for them. They do not actually care. They're not fighting for anything they want. You know,
Exactly.
I brought this up in a video that I did where I said, listen, 20 years ago, to the day that almost that I dropped the video that I did, women here gained the right walk around topless and be topless anywhere that a man could be, right?
Hmm.
Now, why did they fight for this? Because a woman was sunbathing topless in her own backyard and got arrested, and was going to end up being like on the sex offenders registry because some kid from some other house saw it and she didn't know that the kid could see her or whatever.
Yeah.
It was going to be like a bad thing. So they fought for this right for bare boobs, right?
Hmm.
Just like men can do, anywhere a man could do it, and they won. And I would challenge you to come here and go find me a bunch of women who are topless wherever men are topless or anywhere publicly.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen,
No.
right? But let's keep fighting for these rights, right? Because again, you don't want it, right? It's not something you actually need. It's not something impacting your life negatively. It's not something bringing you down or whatever. They're pointless fights for you to make noise and put men down, basically.
Yeah. Because and what I really think it's a lot. It's just like on the other side of the coin, right? Where we go with the movement was started by men supposedly, and they do have credence about the heavy-handed child support laws and the unilateral, yeah, whatever, right? And now I guess the red pill 3.0, um, they're not even in relationships with women, right? Never had a long term, short term, one night stand fling with a woman, right? You got 30-year-old living in a mama's basement, like Steve Missoula would say, drinking red Mountain Dew, you know, with Doritos on a t-shirt, rage quitting video games.
Yeah.
You know, these are the people that are running these that are in front of these movements that did have validity, right?
Yeah.
And then the problem is that you look around and you see something, and this is where times have changed. But has time really changed, or we just are witnessing this in our lifetime? And maybe this happened before in history, but there was like nobody around to actually tell you, like, nah, this happened, but it happened in this instance with this, and this is the heavy handedness of X, Y, and Z. And this is where it's going to lead to, and this is what's going to happen. Um,
Yeah.
and that's why a that's why I'm a like with this whole thing that when you get like if you live to be like 80 and over, everything's just repeats of
Yes.
life. It's just that you can't participate. You're just only watching on the couch, drooling on yourself or something. Right? You're there,
Yep.
like you're there, and you're just living out your existence because you know a lot of your friends probably went and passed on. You get in this routine and you're just waiting for your time to die, but you're seeing the next generation go through this, right? Like there have been people just like Takashi that have quote unquote sold out their buddies. But if you dig deeper into history, you really find out that they were only reacting to what was done to them.
Yeah.
And I truly believe, like, for them to bring all that evidence to him, if there was another action that he could have took or got out of it where he doing as little time as possible, he'd have probably took that option than snitching.
Probably.
Probably. Like if they didn't do what he found out they did, he could have probably did about 5 years because, what I'm saying, he probably did about 5 years or whatever. Um, been and fed or something like that, not gave them really anything to go with what they already got, right?
Yeah.
And he would have got out of it. He would have got out of it in 5 years. He'd have been back, and then he would have got so much hood credit for not being a snitch, and then that would have validated his thugness, right? He kept the street code, right?
Yeah.
But because of what they done and
Yeah.
what they put on him. Because remember, they arrested them first and then came after him. So they were trying to put everything on him.
Exactly.
Because if you look at his charges, he was the mastermind behind everything. Right?
And you know what? From that perspective, then you gotta wonder. Um, you know, for him, I mean, he told everybody stuff that is already common knowledge released to the news. But you know, did he paint these guys who are going to be in jail for the next 30 years as snitches themselves? Because he could have.
Yeah.
They'd all be dead, but he could have, and he didn't. So, is in and of itself, by him doing what he's doing, is he doing? And I mean, this can sound weird, but is he doing one final honorable act towards these people that don't really deserve it? Could be.
That's that's a good point because he was never, and you listen to his opening salvo, he was never a um, he said he was never a street dude. He was never the street dude, right? So he was a civilian used as a pawn. So this, because if he said they were snitches,
Yeah.
they're pretty much
Yeah.
done in prison, right? So he can't openly say that because that means he was just a person co-signing what the feds already knew.
Right.
And they just used him as a star witness to get them in jail. But if that's the case, then if the feds already knew this, then that means a lot of those wiretaps were illegal. Because for you to get a wiretap, you have to have enough evidence before the wiretap for the court order to give you the wiretap. If you were wiretapping already, then you can use what they had in the U.S., that terrorism thing. So you can write up a fake document. You can write up some stuff and say we think that this has a pipeline to terrorism, right? And then you can wiretap anybody off that's in that thing. But once it's proven that you don't have that, you have to cut the wiretap. So what they did is, but then that goes under the Office of Homeland Security, right? So when it comes back that you don't have this, but you find that this is going on, then you go with the state, you give the state that thing, you work in conjunction with them, then you get a state ordered thing where you can surveil, and then you go and get the federal thing, and then now you can do an investigation. That's why I lasted for 5 years, the total investigation. And the first person they grabbed up was the driver. And the first, and you know how they get the most of the information from the driver? Well, the driver's family was illegal immigrants, and they threatened to deport the driver's family. So the driver knew all the conversations because he was the driver. The driver doesn't talk. So no one would suspect the driver. You're just sitting in the car talking the whole time. So he's wiretapped up. No one's checking the driver. No one's paying the driver any attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives them enough information. I mean, even if it's not too many details, it's still enough detail right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. You know the place, Tom's place, where stuff is going to happen. They're just sitting there watching, collecting info, sitting out there tapping stuff. And since everything's over the phone, since people like when I was in Baltimore, if you would hear a little echo, if you use the payphone, this is back when we had pagers, right? You would literally, what you would do to check to see if the payphone was tapped, you would break the payphone. Like you would like take the handset and slam it down and it'll break and let it hang, right? And then nobody would use the payphone. And if someone came within a week to fix that payphone, you knew it was tapped. You knew it was wiretapped. No one would use it. No one used the payphone. So if you needed to make a call, you would talk a certain way. Like, because you had to use a payphone because you had a pager, a beeper, or whatever, right? So you wouldn't
Right.
use your house phone. You never use your house phone, no matter what. Never use somebody else's house phone, no matter what. Now, you might go to the corner store and pay the Korean guy behind the counter some extra money, and then they had a payphone. They had a phone that was that's a payphone that's inside of um, their business. Now people are like, well, why are you using payphones? Well, payphones are ran by the city, but it's a state funded thing through a private company. Like on our case, it was Bell Atlantic. So for them to get a wiretap on a business, you gotta go through, you gotta get a special judge and you gotta bring a whole lot of evidence. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and so no, nothing major would happen. You would never have the OGs actually talking on the phone. You would never, you know how they show those films where they would catch the actual guy talking on the phone? That never happens.
Oh yeah, all the
That
time,
never
all the time.
happens. That
Yeah,
never happens. It's always a proxy answering the phone and talking for 'em.
of course.
Always. It's never, and even if a message is delivered, it's always done in person by somebody else, like a lieutenant or something like that. When they would have a meeting, it would always be a party. They would go to a room, a back room in a basement where even if a person was wearing a wire, you couldn't get the radio signal down there anyway, because it's a basement.
Mhm.
Is
Yep.
it'll be behind a wall, it'll be behind something. Like you're not getting that. That's what I mean. Because if you look at these, I'm like, it's a movie, so they're basically condensing what might have happened and sensationalizing certain stuff. But that's not, even if a person had a wire, they weren't getting through certain stuff. If it's a ran criminal enterprise to that level. But and a lot of times people that get snatched up, um, big fish, they either go to jail because they stayed in the game too long and didn't pass over the helm to somebody else, um, you know, or to keep everything going, they even volunteer themselves to go to jail. And then they're sitting in jail for 5 to 10 years, basically running the enterprise from the jail.
Right.
And that normally happens. People don't realize that. Oh shoot, we've been on here for 3.5 hours. Well, I usually cut this short in 2 hours and 3 hours, but Ruby's been here. Let me give these shout outs to people. Darkman Jeff. Oh, Thalia, maybe next time when we do a stream, have you on and stuff like that. Um, I just saw the message. Let's see. Chaos, thanks for stopping through. Dante S. And for all the other viewers, please like and share it. Thank everybody for coming through. Let's see. I think Cerulean's going live tomorrow. Um, Ruby and Shar is going live on I think
I think
Friday.
that's tomorrow or on Friday, but
Friday.
on Wednesday night there's always the GSRN show too.
Yes, yes. So GSRN show uh, tomorrow. Uh, Jay Sean came through. What's going on, family? How's it going over there in Germany? How's it going on? Going on. So let's see. Cerulean, I think he's going to be a little. I think he goes a little bit early, and then the GSRN show is next with the DJ Music and Char Willie. Um, then I think it's movie night Thursday um, on the Gray Regime TV. Friday is the Just Act Shar. I think Friday and Saturday she does that. I think Sunday is movie night again. And then we have the Ebony Star Network. So they do Ladies Night on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So they do Ladies Night on Friday. Jay Sean, and I think he's going to be dropping some content about something uh, sooner or later. Hey, Sean, you got to do that thing with them, with those houses. Um, I still don't I still don't think it's cool. You pay $1.5 million for a house and you got neighbors. I don't think that's a good idea. I need to be away from people. Well, we're going to do closing thoughts. Roops, if you got any closing thoughts.
Hmm. Sorry, I'm eating chocolate. I'll
Oh, no
just say
problem.
this.
Mhm.
Listen, the music industry is and always has been mostly dictated by A, who has got the X factor, show power for whatever they're looking for, and plus whoever's got the writing skills. Might not necessarily exist in the same person. Um,
Mhm.
and let's recognize here, we got to stop looking at these musicians and actors and actresses like they are idols because they sang some song or rapped some verse that really touched you deeply. That does not mean that that's telling you, honestly, these days, even about their own life, their own thoughts and feelings for real on any level. Um, we have to stop holding them up on these pedestals. They're just like you or me, only they got a shot that we didn't, and that's about it. We got to stop. We got to stop um, telling ourselves that somehow or another they are icons that we should be looking up to because again, in this day and age, they're basically all just actors and actresses playing a role, and you might like that role, just like I really liked Q from Moesha,
Mhm.
right? But it doesn't mean Free Throw Star is really Q from Moesha,
Yeah.
right? It's not the way it works. Doesn't mean Ray J. You know what I mean? Like we got to stop doing that. Recognize they're playing a role for entertainment purposes. And recognize that they're just humans. They're just normal human beings. And you know what? Stop being such hypocrites. It's cool for you to just be like, yo, you know what? I don't really believe in snitching in the streets. I understand this guy's just acting, and all right, that's fine because you know what? Y'all can keep talking about how much you don't like it, but if he drops another song and you like it, you're gonna listen to it, you're gonna buy it, you're gonna learn the new dance. So just stop. All right,
Exactly.
that is all.
Yeah. It's just all entertainment, y'all. At the end of the day, you can learn from it. Uh, Maybe implement it every now and again, but don't take it too seriously. What this has shown is that at the end of the day, and this is just some truth, is that to be 100% loyal um, does not mean to be blinded. Um, and you have to, self preservation is a human thing. Sorry to tell you this, but it is what it is, right? If a man has something to lose, he's the most dangerous. It's not the man with nothing to lose, it's the man with something to lose. That is the most dangerous. This man had what he built, his empire, whether we agree upon it or not. I'm like, people paid for it. People went to those concerts. People paid the money. It is what it is. But he had something to lose. His family, his reputation, his prestige. He changed in his reputation, but his reputation means nothing if you're not going to uphold the honor code that you want to set forth. So, with this being said, hey, I'm a pragmatist at the end of the day. Do I agree with what he did in snitching? No. Do I understand? Yeah. Well, I will be would I find myself in that situation? No, because I'm not in that situation now. I saw what would happen because at the end of the day, when it comes to that, there's really no loyalty. The best way to make sure people are loyal to you is to put them in a situation where you don't have to test it. That's the only way I can tell you. Well, that's the end of this stream. Hopefully next week we'll come up with another topic. I like to thank Thalia for bringing this up. Did the investigation. Thank you very much. I'm getting along with this new format. I won't make that mistake again. Um, with the stream because I didn't do it through Streamlabs. I did it on YouTube and tried to connect through Streamlabs, so I gotta do it again. I think it's a bug that they need to work out. Uh, Salute to everybody. Jay Sean, the Great Regime for coming through. Shar, Rubes, great panelist once again, hold holding it down. We was everywhere with this one, but it actually came back to where it needs to go. Um, we don't negotiate with terrorists, so I have my server, and this is how we're going to talk on these panels because I feel more secure. I don't want to be infiltrated by foolishness. Um, in this sector, we stay away from the foolishness completely, totally, utterly. You know what I'm saying? Because as much as we say not snitching, it's a lot of snitching in the other in the other sector. Ridiculous snitching. Actually,
That's the truth.
people snitch on themselves. Man, yeah. And here's the thing, man. Stop embarrassing your family for clicks, views, and likes. Stop. Listen, we can talk a lot of crap about this dude with this rainbow colored hair and all this other stuff. I don't know what his mom or his kids look like.
True.
Mm,
Yeah, no, no. His mom, his baby moms, I don't really know what any of them look like, honestly.
nope. Look at that. Even a rat like him knows the sanctity of protecting the livelihood of your family.
Yeah.
Yep. And if if people got a problem with what I just said, you have your bully pulpits and your platforms to speak about it. That's fine. I'm okay with that. You know, that's it. I'm fine with that. I don't care. I have my platform. You have yours. Right? Yeah. So we can respectfully disagree. Well, y'all have a good evening. I think it's pretty late for you guys over there. I think it's 2 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. 1 o'clock in the
Yes, sir.
morning Central. Is that correct? Yeah, 1 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning Central.
Yep.
All right. So y'all be safe. I'm ending